From Tampa, Florida, to the world via the internet, welcome to Brevard County Manatees Baseball. Game number 1 of the Florida State League's North Division Championship Series between the Manatees and the Tampa Yankees. I'm Stephen Smith of SpaceCoastBaseball.com, and I'll be telling you about tonight's game from the first pitch to the final out. Well, this is a night that Manatees fans have been waiting for 3 months, after Brevard won the first half title of the Florida State League's North Division with a 40-24 record. In the second half, the Manatees were 39-24, which was almost identical to their first half record, but the Tampa Yankees had an incredible second half. They were 30-37 in the first half, but in the second half, 47-19, so they won the second half title. So that means that in this best 3-game series, the Manatees will have the home field advantage with games 2 and, if necessary, 3 at Space Coast Stadium. Game number 1 here is in Tampa at George M. Steinbrenner Field, formerly known as Legends Field, the spring training home of the New York Yankees. Breaking news just as we got ready to go on the air. Manatees outfielder Caleb Gindel broke a hand. We don't know which hand, we don't know how, but he is on the disabled list and he will be unavailable for the series. Gindel was an important bat in the Manatees lineup. He batted .277, led the team in homers with 17, and in RBI with 71, and in slugging percentage at .459. He is out for the playoffs. So manager Mike Guerrero is going to have to juggle his lineup a little bit to get some additional run production. We'll be giving you the starting lineups in just a little bit, but before that, I'm going to play an interview we recorded before the game with Manatees pitching coach Fred Dabney. He's going to talk about Brevard's rotation for this series. Game 1 tonight is going to be Mark Rogers. Game 2 tomorrow in Brevard is going to be Amori Rivas. And then if we get to Game 3, it's going to be Evan Anonson. Fred will tell you about the starting rotation in this interview. So listen to Fred, and when we come back, we'll give you the starting lineups. If you like to keep score, get a pencil and paper handy, and we'll give you the lineups when we come back. And now here's Fred. We're talking with Fred Dabney, the pitching coach with the Brevard County Manatees, as they get ready to start their 3-game series with the Tampa Yankees to determine who wins the North Division title here in the Florida State League. And Fred, I looked back in your career bio, and I found that you had a couple of years in this league with Sarasota, which was a White Sox affiliate at that time, and I found that you happened to have thrown a no-hitter. So tell us about the no-hitter.
Well, try to remember. It's been so long ago, it seems like. But it was one of those situations. I was in the relief, and they made me a starter, and I had a couple of outings. And then one day we were playing the Royals. I got off to kind of a rocky start, but the defense made some unbelievable plays. And, sometimes they say it takes good plays, for a pitcher to throw a no-hitter. And in my case, that was true. We had a couple of great plays behind me. They always turned the double play. Anytime I walked the guy, the double play was turned immediately. And fortunately, I looked up and 9 innings, no hit baseball. It was exciting, even though it was an A ball, but it was still fun to have that experience.
Do you recall how you celebrated that night?
Yeah. Well, after I got done, I had a 20-minute bike ride, and and then a couple of my roommates and stuff took me out, and, I think we ended up eating some wings and, having a couple of sodas and just enjoying things, and then the next day it was back to business.
The life of a minor leaguer. Well, let's talk about this 3-game series, the rotation for the 3-game series. Tonight you're going to have Mark Rogers going, and Mark was a first-round draft pick back in 2004 and missed the last 2 years due to he had shoulder surgery, and then as he was coming back from that, he had some scar tissue need to be cleaned up. And I had the opportunity to see him a couple of times this year, and he's on either a limited pitch count or a limited inning count. So if you could give us a profile of where Mark is right now, and also when do you think he'll be able to basically just turn it loose and work up to a normal pitch count?
Well, as far as that goes, that's not my call. I add my input and stuff, but ultimately, with our farm director and players, director of player development, and with our pitching coordinator and just the medical staff, that dictates whether Mark goes up in pitch counts. But as far as this year goes, we, set a limit on him toward the end of the season. We're not going to budge from that, be in the playoffs or not, because the most important thing is Roger's health, his development as a future major league pitcher, and that's what our goal with him. He is on a limited pitch count, and we're not going to stray from that, even though it is the playoffs, because like I said, his future as a major league pitcher is the most important thing. So with him being limited, if he throws a ball like he's capable of throwing, he's done what he needed to do out there.
Well, I've seen on the radar gun out on the scoreboard, he's up around 95, 96, so he's got plenty of velocity. But what else does he have in his repertoire, without giving away everything?
Well, people don't understand. They look and see the fastball, and they're like, wow, but he's got a sharp, plus curveball. He's got an average, a solid average, at times a plus slider, and an average changeup. You're talking about a guy with 4 major league to plus major league pitches. He's a tremendous talent, great athlete, and it's going to be fun to watch him work today, as it has been in the past and even in the future.
Tomorrow is going to be Amaury Rivas, assuming we get through without a rain delay tonight. This is the Florida State League, and he will be making that start at home at Space Coast Stadium. Set the Manatees single-season record this year with 13 wins. Tell us about Amaury.
Rivas he's also a power-type guy, tremendous changeup and slider. Sometimes that gets overlooked because everybody likes to see the fastball on the scoreboard. But just a tremendous talent. He's been consistent for us all year. He's been healthy all year, taking the ball day in and day out every 5th day, and he's shown the ability to get it done, execute his pitches in crunch time, and that's what we expect out of him for tomorrow.
And then the third pitcher who we have set up for Game 3, if we get that far, is Evan Anenson, who's had an excellent season. He has something in common with you. He threw a no-hitter on April 28th against Daytona. But I have noticed that in the last couple of months that he seems to have struggled a little bit. Before the All-Star game, his ERA was 1.84. After the All-Star game, it's 3.63. Now, in context, those of us who follow the minor leagues full season, we know that a lot of the younger pitchers kind of tend to run out of gas, especially when they've been pitching in the heat here for so long. So tell us a little bit about Evan and why it is that you think maybe the second half's been a bit more of a struggle for him.
Well, it was, we were in St. Lucie, and he had that one rough outing where he pitched 1 inning. I think he gave up 9 runs. And that'll put a toll on your ERA for the second half. But as far as the second half goes, he's been more consistent. And you got to understand, at times, it's not in the pitcher's hands as far as the numbers that he puts up. He can only execute to the best of his ability. A couple of blue hits here and there that maybe, guys should have made an out on or whatever. Didn't hit the ball hard, just no one could make a play on it. As far as, blooper or ground ball with eyes, they say, you give up a couple of those, they score a couple of runs. Doesn't mean that he pitched bad, doesn't mean that he's done anything different as far as his execution or his stuff, but the numbers tend to be a little bit different. And in his case, a couple of bloopers and some ground balls found some holes, and, that's where the numbers come into play.
Well, Fred, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully this series goes the way the Manatees want, but the most important thing is we'll keep everybody healthy. So good luck tonight and the rest of the week.
I appreciate it. Take care, and God bless.
That was Manatees pitching coach Fred Dabney. All right, if you're ready, we'll give you the starting lineups now. First, for the visiting Brevard County Manatees. Leading off and in left field is number 7, Lee Hadel, Haydel. Batting second is the second baseman, number 5, Eric Ferris, Farris. Batting third is the center fielder, number 12, Logan Schaefer, Schafer. Batting cleanup is the right fielder, number 14, Stephen Wilson. His first name is Steffan. Batting fifth and at first base is number 34, Chris Ericart, Errecart. Batting sixth is the designated hitter, number 10, Sergio Miranda. Batting seventh, as always, the third baseman, number 32, is Zealous, Zelous Wheeler. Batting eighth is the shortstop, number 3, Brent Brewer. And batting ninth is the catcher, number 24, Martin Maldonado. And the starting pitcher for the Manatees is number 45, Mark Rogers. And now the starting lineup for the Tampa Yankees. Leading off is the right fielder, number 34, Daniel Brewer. He's no relation to Brent Brewer of the Manatees. Batting second and at second base is number 41, David Adams. Batting third is the catcher, number 12, Austin Romine, just named the Player of the Year in the Florida State League. Batting fourth is the left fielder, number 27, Damon Sublett, Sublett. Batting fifth is the designated hitter, number 28, Brandon Laird, Laird. Batting sixth is the first baseman, number 26, Kevin Smith. Batting seventh is the third baseman, number 13, Luis Nunez. Batting eighth is the center fielder, number 20, Jack Rye, Rye. And batting ninth is the shortstop, number 11, Walter Ibarra, Ibarra. And the starting pitcher for the Tampa Yankees is number 45, David Phelps. Well, the four umpires at home plate have met with the two managers and exchanged the lineups. Unfortunately, the lineup that we got here does not have the name of the umpires, so we're going to refer to them as home plate, first base, second, and third base umpires. During the regular season in the Florida State League, you normally have only two umpires, a home plate umpire and a base umpire. And the reason for that is just, I guess, economics more than anything else. But here in the playoffs, we get four umpires. The Tampa Yankees are taking the field. The Brevard County Manatees are lining up in front of the third base dugout in their road grays, and we're going to let you listen to the national anthem being sung live, and then we'll be back with the first pitch of the game. That was the national anthem performed live instead of by Memorex, which is always preferable. Let me tell you a little bit about how this broadcast is going to work tonight. The Manatees do not have a radio broadcast contract this year. So we are doing the playoffs for you over the internet. That means we're not going to have any commercial ads. We're not going to have any promotions. It's just you and me talking over the internet. So by no means is this going to be the Vin Scully caliber of broadcast. This is going to be us doing our best to tell you what is going on here in Tampa between the Manatees and the Yankees. Between innings, I may continue to talk to you about what's going on. I might stick the headset out the window, especially if I have to run down the hall when nature calls, quite frankly. So just bear with us. We're doing the best we can, and we'll tell you as much about this game as we can. Now, this is the North Division playoff between the Yankees and the Manatees. In the South Division, they're starting tonight between the Fort Myers Miracle, a Twins affiliate, and the Charlotte Stone Crabs, a Tampa Bay Rays affiliate. The two top pitchers in the league by wins are going after each other tonight. David Bromberg is starting for Fort Myers. He was named the pitcher of the year. He's 13-4 with a 2.70 ERA. And Jeremy Hall will be on the mound for Charlotte. He's 14-7 with a 3.62 ERA. So that's going to be a great pitching duel down in Charlotte. But we're going to have a really good one, too, here between Mark Rogers, a first-round draft pick for the Brewers in 2004, and David Phelps, who was drafted by the Yankees last year in the 14th round out of Notre Dame. The Manatees wearing their road uniforms. They are gray with Brevard in big red block letters across the front and red numerals on the back. Leading it off in the top of the first for the Manatees will be Lee Hadel, followed by Eric Ferris and Logan Schaefer. Manatees manager Mike Guerrero is coaching at third. And let's see who's coaching over at first for Brevard. The Manatees often use position players to coach for an inning. It gives them an opportunity to get experience at coaching on the base paths. First pitch of the game is called for a strike. Anderson De La Rosa, the number 2 catcher, is actually coaching at first base. Hadel batting from the left side. The next pitch by Phelps just misses the outside corner, and the count is 1-1. Hadel finished the year batting .275 with 2 homers, 50 RBI. This one is swung on, and it's a line drive right at the shortstop, Ibarra, for the first out. So with 1 out, that'll bring up second baseman Eric Ferris. Eric finished 2009 batting .298 with 7 homers, 49 RBI, led the league in stolen bases, 70 stolen bases, and caught only 6 times. 70 tied the Manatees single-season record. First pitch is a breaking ball that hits the outside corner for strike 1. Right-handed Phelps winds, and the 0-1 pitch hits the outside corner again, 0-2. Tampa defensively has Smith at first, Adams at second, Ibarra at short, and Nunez at third. Next pitch misses outside to counts 1-2. Sublette is in left, Rye in center, Brewer in right, with Austin Romine behind the plate. And the 1-2 pitch by Phelps swung on and missed, strike 3. So Phelps has his first strikeout, and that'll bring up center fielder Logan Schaefer. Schaefer won the Florida State League batting average title this year with a .313 average, 6 homers, 58 RBI. He was among the league leaders in runs with 76, hits with 143, and doubles with 31. Bats left-handed. First pitch by Phelps misses down and in, ball 1. The Yankees' uniforms, as you might suspect, look very similar to the parent clubs. That very dark navy, almost black and white. Next pitch is called for a strike, and the count's 1-1. But instead of having the NY, they have a TY. Looks like tie, as in Cobb. The 1-1 pitch Down on the dirt, blocked by Romine, and the count goes 2-1. Manager Mike Guerrero's had to juggle the lineup. Schaefer normally bats first with Ferris second, but with Caleb Gindel out for the postseason, Schaefer drops into number 3rd spot. Fastball misses in, and the count goes 3-1. On deck is right fielder Stephen Wilson. Phelps wipes some sweat off his brow. And the 3-1 pitch swung on, and it's a bouncer down the first baseline, gloved by the first baseman, who tosses it over to Phelps for the final out. That was Kevin Smith to Phelps, 3-1. So the Manatees go in order in the top of the first. We go to the bottom of the first with the score, the Manatees nothing, and the Tampa Yankees against Mark Rogers coming to bat. As the Manatees take the field, let me tell you a little bit about starting pitcher Mark Rogers. Rogers really has been a story of tenacity. He was drafted in the first round by the Milwaukee Brewers in the June 2004 draft, number 5 overall in the country. But he suffered a severe shoulder injury to start in 2006, and he missed the 2006 and 2007 seasons. Now wait a minute, I may have my numbers wrong there. I think he actually missed 2007 and 2008. But he had labrum surgery, and he was coming back from that and had more pain, and so he had to go in and have some of that cleaned up. So it was 2007 and 2008. And this is the first year in over 2 years that he's actually pitched competitively. He's had the velocity, but he's been on a limited pitch count all year long. So his numbers appear somewhat deceptive at times. His numbers on 2009, 1-3 with a 1.67 ERA, 23 games, 22 starts. And you'd say, well, how can he have 22 starts and have only a 1-3 record? Well, that's because he never gets to 5 innings, or almost never to 5 innings. He pitched 64 2/3 innings, 46 hits, 67 strikeouts, and 29 walks. We interviewed pitching coach Fred Dabney before the game and asked him, are they going to let Rogers go longer? And he said no, that the organization wants to be very careful with his shoulder this year. So he's limited even here in the playoffs. Daniel Brewer will lead it off for the Yankees, followed by David Adams and Austin Romine. Brewer batted .290 on the year with 4 homers, 29 RBI. Bats from the right side. First pitch by Rogers. Fastball misses outside, ball 1. Coach Fred Dabney told us that Rogers has got the complete repertoire: fastball, curve, slider, and changeup. The 1-0 pitch misses away again, and the count's 2-0. Rogers, 6'2", 224 pounds. He's 23 years old, out of Brunswick, Maine. The 2-0 pitch. There's one on the outside corner, and the count's 2-1. Now, we all like to get excited about velocity, and I don't see a radar gun here at Steinbrenner Field, so I can't tell you what numbers he's hitting. Next pitch is high, 3-1. And as Fred correctly pointed out in the pregame show, that velocity is not as important as location and movement. As we're seeing here, he's got velocity, but he's already behind 3-1 to Brewer. The pitch swung on, it's a grounder down to short. Brewer handles it with a little bit of a bobble, throw on to Eric Hart at first, and there's one down. So that'll bring up the second baseman for the Yankees, David Adams. Batting .281, 7 homers, 41 RBI. we may think that if you throw 95, 100 miles an hour that you're unhittable, but the truth of the matter is that professional hitters, especially at the big league level, if you throw a fastball even at 100 miles an hour, if it has no movement, they're going to kill it. There's a pitch that hits the outside corner, look like a slider, strike one. All you need to do is look at pitchers like Greg Maddux, for example, who recently retired, who made an entire career of location and movement. Next pitch is a changeup, and it's fouled back into the net, 0-2. You'll see that the fastest pitchers in baseball today, if they can't locate their pitches, it doesn't do them much good if they throw 100 miles an hour. 0-2 pitch. Misses outside, and the count's 1-2. Austin Romine is on deck. Bottom of the first here in Tampa. The Manatees failed to score in the top half of the inning. 1-2 pitch by Rogers. It's a changeup, and it's a blooper into center field. Racing in is Schaefer, and he'll have to take it for a bounce. So David Adams has the first hit of the ball game, and that'll bring up Yankees catcher number 12, Austin Romine. Austin was just named the Player of the Year in the Florida State League. He batted .276 in the regular season, 13 homers, 72 RBI. Was among the league leader in doubles with 28. Adams taking his lead off at first, 3 for 7 in stolen bases. Rogers working from his stretch in the first pitch. It gets away from Maldonado, bounces all the way back to the backstop, and advancing to second will be Adams. The scoreboard back home at Space Coast Stadium doesn't tell you wild pitch or pass ball, and looking here at Steinbrenner Field, it looks like we're in the same situation. So we're going to have to call it on our own, and we're going to call that a wild pitch. Just keep in mind, I'm not the official scorer. That's somebody down the row here in the press box. So if you're really concerned about it being official, check the Minor League Baseball website, which I'll give you in just a little bit. They call time at home plate as second baseman Eric Ferris was creeping in on the runner David Adams at second. I don't know whether Romine called time or Maldonado. All right, we're set again. Ferris creeping in again, and the 1-0 pitch is taken for a strike, and the count's 1-1. Romine has an older brother, Andrew, who's a shortstop in the Los Angeles Angels system. He's playing in the California League at the same level as Brevard and Tampa. There goes the runner to third. The pitch is down low. Maldonado's throw to third is not in time, and David Adams has stolen third base off of Mark Rogers. Catcher Martin Maldonado has a gun down there. He threw out this year half of the runners that tried to steal on him. In fact, I'll get you the exact numbers. He threw out 36 of the 75 who tried to steal on him, a .480 percentage. Rogers' 2-1 pitch is down on the dirt, blocked by Maldonado, and the count goes 3-1. It's not that the Yankees never run, but if you look at the team statistics, the Manatees stole twice as many bases as the Yankees did this year. Brevard stole 207 bases. Tampa only 104. Ball 4, and Romine is on first with a walk. So runners at the corner with one out, and that'll bring up the cleanup hitter Damon Sublette, batting .270 with 4 home runs, 41 RBI. Catcher Martin Maldonado goes out to talk to Mark Rogers. The left fielder for the Yankees, Sublette, among the league's leader in triples with 11 and an on-base percentage at .376. Led the team in strikeouts at 93, but also took 65 walks. Eric Hart at first is holding on the runner. The middle infield is about halfway. First pitch is down low, a slider blocked by Maldonado, and the count's 1-0. Zealous Wheeler at third is playing even with the base runner Adams. And that's not unusual. That's the way that third basemen are often taught when you have a runner on third, is to stay parallel with him, especially with less than 2 outs. But this time he's staying even with the bag. Rogers steps off the rubber, fakes a throw to third, and then looks over to first, but nothing happening there. Every rare once in a while, that play actually works. Emphasis on the rare. 1-0 pitch is a fastball taken high and outside, and the count's 2-0. Mark Rogers struggling with his control here in the first inning. Adams down the line from third, Romine off at first, and the 2-0 pitch is a changeup swung on and missed, and the count's 2-1. The Manatees defensively, Zealous Wheeler at third, Brent Brewer at second, Eric Ferris at second, and Chris Ericart at first. Rogers comes set in the 2-1 pitch. Maldonado frames it on the outside corner, but it misses 3-1. Brevard's outfield, in left Lee Hadel, All-Star Logan Schaefer in center, and Stephen Wilson in right. Martin Maldo calls time, steps out in front of the plate, and signals a new series of signs to the infield. It shows you how important it is for a catcher to be able to quarterback the game, to use a football metaphor, because he, among other things, he also sets the defenses. 3-1 pitch. Misses up high and outside, ball 4, and the Yankees have the bases loaded with 1 out. So Sublet's on first, Romine advances to second, Adams remains on third, and that'll bring up the designated hitter, Brandon Laird. Laird batted .266 this year, 13 homers, 75 RBI. Well, here comes pitching coach Fred Dabney to the mound to talk to Rogers and try to settle him down. The rest of the infield is at the mound as well. Eric Ferris is there, Chris Ericart. The only one who's not approaching the mound is Brent Brewer. I know some leagues have rules about how many players can be on the mound at the time, and honestly, I don't know what the rule is here at the Florida State League. And quite frankly, I don't know why it matters one way or the other, but I guess sometimes you pass rules just to have a rule. With the bases loaded now, Ericart at first no longer holding on the runner, so he's off the bag. All 4 infielders are playing roughly halfway. The middle infielders are a bit deep. Rogers is still working from the stretch. His first pitch missed inside, ball 1. Laird bats right-handed. The outfield lineman plays him straight away. 1-0 pitch. Swung on, it's a shot to center field. Logan Schaefer racing to right center. He'll backhand it for the out. That'll score Adams from third. Romine advances from second to third. Sublet remains at first, and the Yankees lead it 1-0. Credit Brandon Laird with the first RBI of the game and of the postseason. Rogers smacks the rosin bag in disgust down on the back of the mound. With 2 down, that'll bring up first baseman Kevin Smith, who batted .317 on the year with 1 homer, 29 RBI. He bats left-handed. Runners at the corners. First pitch swung on and missed. Looked like that might have been a changeup. Romine is at third. Sublet is at first. 2 down, Yanks lead 1-0. Rogers steps off of the rubber and throws slowly over to first. That was just a little lob toss. Just to remind Sublet, hey, I know you're over there. But I don't think he's forgotten about Mr. Romine at third either. 0-1 pitch. Fastball taken high, and the count's 1-1. of the 4 middle infielders, Eric Hart is on the bag holding Sublette. Ferris is right there at second base at the lip of the outfield grass. The next pitch, fastball misses way in. Snap throw down to first by Maldonado. Eric Hart cannot apply the tag in time as Sublette gets back in. Maldonado is very aggressive behind home plate when it comes to throwing down to the bases. He began his career in the Los Angeles Angels system under manager Mike Scioscia, and you know he expects his catchers to be very aggressive. Fastball misses up and away, and the count goes 3-1. On deck is the third baseman, Luis Nunez. Yankees trying to add to their 1-0 lead. They have runners on first and third. There goes the runner on first. Pitch is swung on and fouled back on the third base side, and it goes out beneath the overhang out onto the concourse. Yankees manager Luis Sojo is coaching at third, and Coach Tim McIntosh is at first. You might be wondering, well, how come the managers are coaching at third base? They don't do that in the big leagues. Well, that's very typical in the minors. You see that almost with every team and at every level, that the managers coach third base. That's just the way they do it. The big leagues are sort of the exception to the rule. 3-2 count, 2 outs, runner on first goes, and the pitch misses, ball 4. That's the third walk of the inning for Mark Rogers. Damon Sublette advances to second. Romine remains on third, and that'll bring up the third baseman, Luis Nunez, who batted .304 on the year with 3 homers, 23 RBI. Luis wears number 13, so obviously he's not worried about any number phobia. And there's a word for that, trickster something phobia, fear of numbers. I can't remember the word. You'll have to look it up on the internet. Rogers still working from the stretch. First pitch is a curveball that sweeps in across the plate for strike 1. We were talking about managers coaching at third base, which they typically don't do in the big leagues. But I remember when Tommy Lasorda was managing with the Dodgers that he would coach third base from time to time. 0-1 pitch, swung on and fouled back into the net. 0-2. So Rogers is 1 strike away from getting out of an inning in which he's been struggling badly. Nunez bats right-handed. Zealous Wheeler playing deep at third. The shortstop Brewer is on the grass in very short left field. Ferris at second, right on the lip of the outfield grass. Next pitch is bounced a good 10 feet in the dirt in front of home plate, and Maldonado did a great job of blocking it. For all of Maldonado's great defensive skills, he did lead the league in passed balls with 17. And a lot of times defensive numbers are very misleading, especially in the minors where players go up and down all the time. And it may be you lead in a bad category simply because you were here all the time and everybody else either came or went. But also another factor might be if you have a pitcher that bounces the ball a lot. Next pitch is swung on. It's a line drive the opposite way into right field for a base hit. That scores Romine. Coming around third is Sublette. Maldonado blocks off the plate. Did he get him? Yes. Score that 9-2. The throw by Stephen Wilson to Martin Maldonado was right on the money, and that gets Mark Rogers out of a very difficult inning. So the Yankees have 2 runs on 2 hits, 3 walks, no errors, and 1 left. We've gone 1 here in Tampa, and the Yankees lead the Manatees by a score of 2-0. Well, as we get ready to go to the top of the second, as I said earlier, we don't have a commercial contract here. This is just you and me talking on the internet. So between innings, I will either continue to talk to you, or If I need to take a break for a bit, then I'll stick the headset out the window and let you listen. We do not have a separate microphone for the crowd. I just have a headset plugged into my laptop, and we are streaming to minor league baseball. By the way, I mentioned earlier, if you want to see what the official scoring is on this game, you go to the minor league baseball website. The long version is www.minorleaguebaseball.com. The easy way is MILB.com. That's M as in Mary, I-L-B as in boy.com. When you get there on the menu bar, click on Scoreboard, select Florida State League, and you'll see the two games being played tonight in the Florida State League, the North Division playoff between the Yankees and the Manatees, and the South Division playoff between the Miracle and the Stone Crabs. If you click, you'll see it'll say Recap and Box. If you click on Recap, it'll tell you for each play-by-play what the official scorer's rule was. David Phelps is starting to get ready for his second inning of work. I didn't have a chance early on to tell you much about him. I have a book written by a baseball analyst named John Sickles, who runs an excellent minor league website. It's minorleagueball.com. And he puts out a book called the Baseball Prospect Book that comes out every year. The authoritative source of minor league baseball is Baseball America, and we'll talk about them throughout the game. But John is probably the best independent analyst out there. All right, Stephen Wilson is leading it off. He'll be followed by Chris Ericart and Sergio Miranda. First pitch by Phelps to Wilson. Fastball hits the outside corner, strike one. Wilson finished 2009, 272, 13 homers, 60 RBI. Next pitch misses away, and the count's 1-1. Wilson finished the season with a big blast on Sunday, and in the doubleheader he hit 3 home runs. 1-1 pitch is swung on as a fly ball into right center field. The right fielder, Daniel Brewer, has it, and there's one out. So with one away, that'll bring up the first baseman, Chris Ericart. Ericart batted .245 with 8 homers, 43 RBI. Wilson and Ericart often split time, one at first base, the other a designated hitter. But with Caleb Gindel out for the rest of the year with a broken hand, it looks like Wilson's going to play right field, and Ericart's going to play first base. The first pitch, breaking ball, misses, ball one. John Sickles on David Phelps. Sickles uses a scoring rating of A, B, and C. Next pitch is a strike, 1-2. He gave Phelps a score of C with higher potential. He said that Phelps had an awesome sophomore year at Notre Dame, but was unable to replicate that as a junior, struggling with consistency. Ericart swings and lines it into the first base dugout, where it bounces off of the railing and back onto the field. The first baseman for the Yankees, Smith, fields it as it rebounds onto the infield and tosses it aside. Sickles wrote that Phelps was picked in the 14th round, signed for $150,000. 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed, strike three. That's the second strikeout for Phelps, and that'll bring up the designated hitter, Sergio Miranda. When he was signed by the Yankees, he went to Staten Island in the New York Penn League, which is a short season league. That means they only play half a year, and performed very well. Last year he had posted a 2.72 ERA, 8-2 in 72 and 2/3 innings, struck out 52 and walked 18. First pitch is a strike, 0-1. He says Phelps has problems keeping his curveball and changeup consistent, but his 90 to 93 mile an hour fastball, slow grounder down to second. Adams has it on to first, and the Manatees go 1-2-3 here in the top of the second. So 6 in a row set down by Phelps, and as we go to the bottom of the second, the Yankees lead the Manatees by a score of 2-0. To finish what John Sickles has to say on David Phelps, he said that Phelps has problems keeping his curveball and changeup consistent, but his 90 to 93 mile an hour fastball moves well, and his secondary stuff was sharper last year as a pro than it was in college. John concludes by saying, we need to see him at higher levels, but I think he was an astute choice by the Yankees. Now, I said that John is probably the leading independent minor league analyst out there. The consensus authority is Baseball America, which has been around, I think, since around the early 80s. They publish a magazine that comes out once every other week. That means 26 issues a year. They also have a website, www.baseballamerica.com. Baseball America is to the baseball business what Variety is to the entertainment industry, without the weird headlines. But anybody who's in the baseball business, you're going to find that they read Baseball America. And Baseball America, not only do they publish the magazine that comes out once every other week, but they also publish a number of reference books which you have to have if you work in baseball. In terms of prospects, they have a prospect book that comes out every March, and what they do is they give you who, in their opinion, are the top 30 prospects in each organization. One reason I like John Sickles, one is because he knows his stuff, but two, it gives you a second opinion. All right, bottom of the second for the Yankees, trying to add to their 2-0 lead. Luis Nunez leading off, the third baseman. First pitch by Rogers, misses down and away, ball one. Nunez will be followed by Jack Rye and the shortstop Ibarra. 1-0 pitch. Fastball misses away, 2-0. Nunez batted .304 in 49 games for the Yankees. 3 homers, 23 RBI. 2-0 pitch by Rogers is a fly ball hit to right field. Giving ground is Wilson to the warning track, to the wall. It's gone. Steinbrenner Field here in Tampa, originally called Legends Field, when it was built in the early 1990s, it was designed to emulate Yankee Stadium as much as possible. The dimensions are the same: 318 down the left field line, 314 down the right field line, 408 to dead center. The center fielder Rye steps in, and first pitch misses, ball one. Rye batted .256 with 1 homer, 21 RBIs. He bats left-handed. Next pitch by Rogers. The changeup swung on and fouled back, 1-1. In right field, where Nunez dinger just landed, it has a porch of seats that's very similar to the way the old Yankee Stadium used to be, where if you've ever seen that vintage footage of Roger Maris hitting his 61st home run, that's roughly about where Nunez hit it. 1-1 pitch by Rogers is a fastball high and in, 2-1. Mark Rogers came into this game with a 1.67 ERA, but he's really struggling tonight. 2-1 pitch is a slow grounder down to second. Brewer has it. Goes on with a short throw to first, but Ericart handles it backhanded for the first out. Brent Brewer committed 35 errors at shortstop this year, including 2 on Sunday, and that throw came up maybe 5 feet short of the bag at first, but Chris Ericart was able to stretch out and backhand it. So 1 down, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Walter Ibarra, who batted .265 with no homer, 16 RBI. A lot of these Yankees players came up mid-season, and that's the main explanation for why it was a tale of 2 seasons for Tampa. There's a slider that misses down on the dirt, 2-0. Tampa in the first half was only 30-37, but they went 39-24 in the second half to qualify for the playoffs. And a large reason for that is a lot of players were called up from low A Charleston. Next pitch is a fastball, swung on and missed, 2-1. Well, it was nice to see Mark finally rear back and throw a fastball for a strike that a Tampa batter couldn't catch up to. 2-1 pitch. It's a hard grounder. Glove by Wheeler, diving to his left, throws on to first to Ericart for the out. Great play by Wheeler at third. Zealous is only 5'10", but he dove to his left as the ball was headed past him, gloved it, got up, and threw on to first for the second out. So we go back to the top of the lineup for right fielder Daniel Brewer, who grounded out to short to lead off the bottom of the first. Yankees lead 3-0. First pitch by Rogers. Looked like a slider that caught the outside corner, strike one. Yankees posted 2 runs in the first inning when Mark walked 3 batters, and then Luis Nunez led off this inning with a solo home run. Next pitch is a fastball up in the eyes, and the count's 1-1. Not quite sunset yet here in Tampa. The lights are on and definitely taking effect, but we still have some daylight. 1-1 pitch by Rogers. It's a breaking ball. It's grounded down to third. Long throw for Zealous Wheeler across the infield. 3 ground balls get Mark Rogers out of the inning. But he gives up another run on a solo home run by Luis Nunez to lead off the bottom of the second. And after 2, it's the Yankees 3, the Manatees 0. Well, let's check and see what's going on in the other game here in the Florida State League playoffs. And quite honestly, if you want to play along, I got all this information off of Minor League Baseball's website, MILB.com. So if you're listening to me on the internet, you already have internet access. So feel free to go to any of the places that I'm looking at, and when I'm not talking about them, see what's going on. They've gone 2 innings in Charlotte, and the Miracle are on the board 1-0. 1 run on 2 hits for Fort Myers, no runs on 2 hits for Charlotte. Charlotte is the Tampa Bay Rays affiliate in the Florida State League. Of course, Tampa Bay Rays are here in Tampa along with the Tampa Yankees, and as you might suspect, the Tampa Yankees are rarely mentioned in local press because they talk about the Rays all the time. Fort Myers in the top of the second with 1 out. Mark, I don't know how he pronounces it, Dolenc, we'll say Dolan, singled. And then Joe Benson doubled, moving Dolans to third. And then Dolans scored on a ground out. In the top of the third for Brevard, who's still looking for their first base runner, it'll be Zealous Wheeler, followed by Brent Brewer, and then Martin Maldonado. If you're just joining us and you're a Manatees fan, right fielder Caleb Gindel is out for the rest of the season. He somehow suffered a broken hand. We don't know why. We did see him in Sunday's doubleheader, and in game number 2, he grounded into a double play in the first inning. And then in the second inning, they pinch hit for him, and he was out. And now I guess we know why. He somehow broke his hand. All right, Zealous Wheeler steps in batting right-handed. First pitch by Rogers. Hits the outside corner for a strike. Wheeler batted .268 on the year, 7 homers, 64 RBI. Next pitch by Phelps. Fastball down the middle, 0-2. If you've never seen Zealous, he'll remind you of Kirby Puckett, that short, stout build. This is a breaking ball that sweeps away, 1-2. By no means am I saying that Zealous is overweight, and he's certainly not slow because he stole 13 bases out of 16 attempts. 1-2 pitch. down and in, and the count's 2-2. He just has Kirby's kind of build. You can't help but look at Zealous and think of Kirby Puckett, the late great Twins outfielder. 2-2 pitch is a fly ball hit up the alley in left center field. Racing over for it is the center fielder, Rye, who catches up with it for the first out. So 7 in a row retired since the start of the game by David Phelps. And that'll bring up the Manatees shortstop, Daniel Brewer, who batted .290 on the year with 4 homers, 29 RBI. Batting right-handed against Phelps. Third baseman's in on the grass. First pitch breaking ball hits the outside corner, strike 1. That's Luis Nunez at third. He takes a couple of steps back now that there's an 0-1 count. Next pitch misses outside, and the count's 1-1. Phelps is working quickly, and that's pretty typical when a pitcher's doing well. He just wants that ball, wants to rear back again. Swung on and missed at a fastball, and the count's 1-2. Nunez now takes a couple of steps back from the bag. He's off the line about maybe 20 feet. The 1-2 pitch, strike 3 called. Looked like that was a changeup. And that's the third strikeout for David Phelps. That'll bring up the catcher, Martin Maldonado, or Martin if you want to pronounce it properly in Spanish. Martin batted .199 on the year with 2 homers, 21 RBI. Probably the best defensive catcher in the league. He's not in there for his bat. There's a big curve that hits the outside corner for strike 1. Martin started his professional career in the Los Angeles Angels organization. There's a breaking ball, misses way outside. It counts 1-1. Now, I'm not going to try to brag about myself too much here, but I do want to talk about Martin a little bit. He swings and misses on a fastball, and the count's 1-2. For years, I ran a website that covers the Angels minor leagues, futureangels.com. It's still out there. And I got to know Martin when he was in the Angel system. Fastball in the outside corner, strike 3 called. He woofs a little bit at the home plate umpire, and he's got to be careful. Umpires will give you a longer leash in the postseason, but that leash is not infinite. So that's the 4th strikeout for Phelps. Once again, the Manatees go 1-2-3, looking for their first base runner. We go to the bottom of the 3rd, and the Yankees lead the Manatees by a score of 3-0. To finish the thought on Maldonado, Martin started his professional baseball career, as I said, in the Angels organization. They signed him when he was only 17 years old. He was let go by the Angels after the 2006 season, signed by the Brewers in January of 2007. And he's never had much of a bat. Coming into 2009, his career batting average was .229. And again, he only hit a .199 with the Manatees this year. But he is an excellent defensive catcher. And there are times when I can see in him the skills that he picked up working in the Angels organization. The Angels really put a lot of importance on catching, and that has a lot to do, of course, with manager Mike Scioscia. Among other things, they will sit down a catcher and they will ask him after the game to go through pitch by pitch every batter in a game. They want them to remember everything they did. They trained to be very aggressive throwing down to the bases. They are timed on that. And, of course, they have to quarterback the game on the field, positioning the defense. So it's not unusual to see former catchers in the system moving up to be coaches or even managers. I know that Tom Gregorio, who was a catcher up to a couple of years ago, is now the roving catching instructor. Another former catcher, Brent Del Chiaro, was the hitting coach at Cedar Rapids this year. All right, bottom of the 3rd. It'll be the second baseman Adams, followed by the catcher Romine and the left fielder Sublette. First pitch by Rogers. Breaking ball hits the outside corner, strike one. Adams singled in the first, moved up to second on a wild pitch, stole third, and scored on a sacrifice fly. Next pitch by Rogers. Breaking ball bounced in the dirt away from Maldonado, and the count's 1-1. And certainly Mike Scioscia is very much a believer that a catcher's defense is more important than his bat. 1-1 pitch is swung on and it's fouled down at his foot. The count goes 1-2. Yankees scored 2 runs in the first, helped along by 3 walks by Mark Rogers, and then got another run to lead off the bottom of the second when Luis Nunez hit a solo home run to lead off the inning. Rogers' 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed. The ball dropped by Maldonado. He tags Adams as he tries to reach for first. And so you'll score that as technically a 1-2 with an assist to the pitcher because the ball was dropped. But it's the first strikeout for Rogers, and with 1 out, that'll bring up the catcher Austin Romine, who walked in the first, moved to second on a walk, advanced on the sacrifice fly, and then scored on a single. First pitch misses high, ball 1. Well, I apologize because apparently I missed somebody somewhere. This is Damon Sublette who's at the plate. So that was Romine who just struck out. Next pitch misses and the count's 2-0. So let's go back to the Magic Internet and see if we can figure out who I missed. Next pitch by Rogers is high and the count's 3-0. Well, if I make a mistake, I'm not going to hide it from you. I'm going to tell you exactly what mistake I made. And there's ball 4. Sublette walks for the second time. Well, I see what happened. In the bottom of the first, it was Nunez who singled on the play where Sublette was thrown out at the plate. So in the bottom of the second, it was Rye who homered. Then Ibarra grounded out to short. First pitch is a fastball, hits for strike 1. Brewer then grounded out the third, and Adams grounded out the third as well. Romine led off the third with the strikeout, and now Sublette has walked. Rogers makes a toss over to first, and Sublette is back standing up. So here in the third, Romine struck out, and then Sublette walked, and now Laird is at the plate. 0-1 pitch is a line drive into left field for a base hit. Rogers left that up in his eyes. The left fielder, Hadel, gets the ball back in. So the Yankees have runners at first and second with 1 out, and that'll bring up first baseman Kevin Smith, who walked his first time up. Eric Hart and Ferris come into the mound to confer with Rogers. Once again, they're setting how the defense is going to work in this situation. Smith bats left-handed. Shortstop Brewer deking at second. The first pitch misses down and away, ball 1. When I say that an infielder is deking, what he's doing is he's racing in at the bag as if he's anticipating taking a throw. And in this case, it's the shortstop Brewer. The next pitch is swung on and it's fouled back down the third baseline into the stands, and the count's 1-1. With a left-handed batter at the plate, you would probably want the shortstop to do that because you don't want the second baseman to leave a hole. And you see that happen sometimes where the infielder doesn't get back to his position in time, and the hitter will hit the ball right through the hole that the infielder vacated. The 1-1 pitch is a breaking ball hit up the middle. Ferris steps on the bag for one, goes on to first, double play, and that's the inning. So for the first time, Mark Rogers gets through an inning without allowing a run. No runs, a hit, a walk, and one left. We've gone 3 here at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, with the Yankees leading the Manatees 3-0. I'm going to put the headset out the window for just a little bit so you can listen, and I'll be right back.
Tampa Yankee fans, tickets for the Florida State League Championship Series are on sale now. In the event of the Tampa Yankees advance, the series may begin as early as Thursday night. Check tybaseball.com to stay up to date on the Tampa Yankees' journey through the playoffs.
While we wait for the top of the 4th to begin, let's take a look at the big league scores through Major League Baseball's website, MLB.com. Starting with the American League, Texas and Cleveland are playing 2. They're in the top of the 9th in game number 1 in Cleveland, and the Rangers lead the Indians 9-7. Game number 2 to follow. It's a makeup of a rainout from yesterday. All right, in the top of the 4th, we're back to the top of the lineup. Lee Hadel, followed by Eric Ferris and Logan Schaefer. Manatees still looking for their first base runner. David Phelps struck out 4 in the first 3 innings. His first pitch, it's a bunt down the third baseline, but it rolls foul. Hadel lined out to shortstop his first time up. Other games in the American League. How appropriate. Tampa Bay at the New York Yankees. Here we are with the Tampa Yankees, and it's Tampa at New York. And in that one, it's the bottom of the 3rd with the Yankees winning in the Bronx 1-0. Top of the 3rd in Toronto, the Twins lead the Blue Jays by a score of 3-0. Fastball misses outside and it counts 1-1. They're in the top of the 3rd at Fenway Park. The Orioles trailing the Red Sox 4-0. Still looking for their first hit, Baltimore. Next pitch misses down and in, and the count's 2-1. Detroit and Kansas City get underway at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Oakland is at the White Sox at 8:11. Next pitch is swung on and missed, and the count's 2-2. And out on the West Coast, the Angels will be hosting the Seattle Mariners starting at 10:05 Eastern. Count is 2-2 on Hadel. Eric Ferris on deck. 2-2 pitch by Phelps. Just missed the inside corner, and the count goes full, 3-2. If Hadel can draw a walk, he'll be the first Brevard base runner. 3-2 pitch. Ball 4, and Hadel reaches base. First walk, first base runner given up by Phelps, and that'll bring up Eric Ferris, who struck out his first time up. National League scores at Pittsburgh. The Cubs hung a big 7 in the first inning on the Pirates. They're now on the top of the 2nd. Washington Nationals leading the Phillies in D.C. by a score of 1-0 in the bottom of the 3rd. Florida Marlins were at the New York Mets, no score, top of the 3rd. Phelps comes set, and the first pitch, Ferris shows bunt, pulls the bat back, and is called for a strike. The The Yankees' third baseman Nunez was charging, expecting the bunt. Ferris handles the bat very well. Doesn't strike out all that often, only 46 strikeouts and 473 at-bats. There's a breaking ball that misses away, and the count's 1-1. In an interview that I recorded and played on Sunday's game, manager Mike Guerrero explained that even though Ferris has 70 stolen bases, way more, there's a snap throw to first, and Hadel is back. Normally, Logan Schaefer during the season batted first, and Ferris batted number 2. Schaefer had only 16 stolen bases, but Ferris had 70, and I said, well, why does Ferris bat number 2? And he said, well, it's because Ferris handles the bat much better, makes contact. There's another snap throw to first. Those were serious pickoff attempts. Hadel back on his chest. Other scores in the National League. Marlins and Mets, top of the third in New York, no score. There's a grounder. It goes over the glove of the pitcher Phelps. Second baseman Adams tries to make the tag and misses, throws to first. It doesn't get him either. Well, let's see if that's going to be ruled as the first base hit of the game for Brevard. The ball bounced over the outstretched glove of the pitcher Phillips. Second baseman Adams charged, tried to get the runner, Hadel, going by and missed him, then threw on to first to Ferris and didn't get him either. Still no ruling on the board. You could technically rule that just a fielder's choice all the way around, which is basically saying that, well, I made a choice to go after somebody instead of the sure out at first. I didn't get him, so no out is credited. Okay, the first pitch to Schaefer is inside, ball 1. So they're not showing a base hit on the board, so I'm assuming that they're calling that a fielder's choice. And Phillips is still not giving up a base hit. Schaefer grounded out to first in the first inning. Next pitch hits the outside corner with a fastball, and the count's 1-1. Wrapping up the National League, games yet to start: Atlanta at Houston, St. Louis at Milwaukee, Cincinnati at Colorado, the Dodgers at Arizona, and the Padres in San Francisco. Next pitch is a line drive into right field for a base hit. Manager Mike Guerrero holds up Hadel at third. Ferris advances to second. That's definitely a single, and that breaks up the no-hitter. So the Manatees, trailing 3-0, bring the lead run to the plate with nobody out, with Stephen Wilson, who flied out to left his first time up. As I mentioned before, Wilson hit 3 home runs in Sunday's doubleheader. In the minor leagues, doubleheader games are 7 innings each. He had 2 home runs in game number 1. And in game number 2, which went 8 innings, because it was tied, he hit his third dinger. First pitch to Stephen, sweeps away, ball 1. Big opportunity for Brevard to get back into the ball game. Phelps, working from the stretch, misses away and high, and the count's 2-0. Phelps doesn't walk many. In 38 innings in this league, he struck out 32 and walked 6. Working from the stretch, looks over at third at Hadel, and the 2-0 pitch is taken on the outside corner, and the count's 2-1. We said earlier that a lot of the Yankees players moved up from Charleston after the first half, and Phelps is one of them. With Charleston in the South Atlantic League, he was 10-3. This pitch is swung on and is fouled back over the top of the overhang and out of the stadium on the right-hand side. The overhang here has that classic frieze that you saw on the facade of the old Yankee Stadium that was restored in the new Yankee Stadium that opened this year, but it's not copper. It looks to me like it's just basic metal. But it has a similar look. 2-2 pitch. swung on, and it's fouled back the same location, except this time it went through the facade and then bounces back down into the stands. As I said, Phelps was 10-3 at Charleston in the first half, 2.8 ERA in 112 2/3 innings, 90 strikeouts, 25 walks. Two-two pitch to Wilson. He swings at it and barely gets a piece. Rolls it over to the first base dugout where the bat boy fields it, tosses it in the ball bag, and brings out some new baseballs to the home plate umpire. The Manatees parent club, the Milwaukee Brewers, turned to triple play on Sunday. Nobody out, bases loaded in the 2-2 pitch. Once again, Wilson swings at a breaking ball and just gets a piece of it. And the count remains 2-2. On deck is Chris Ericart. 3-0 Yankees, top of the fourth. But the Manatees have the bases loaded with nobody out. Hadel down the line from third, Ferris on second, Schaefer on first, and the 2-2 pitch misses way outside, and the count goes full 3-2. Phelps was working very quickly in the first 3 innings, but he's slowed down his pace here now that he's struggling in the fourth. 3-2 pitch, swung on, it's a grounder down to second. Adams goes to short for first, on to first, and he throws it away, and here comes the runner to score. And it looks like they're going to get 2 bases because the ball went into the Yankees dugout. So to tell you what happened there, Wilson hit a grounder down to the second baseman, Adams. He flipped it to the shortstop, Ibarra, who then tried to relay it on to first but threw it into the Yankee dugout. So Wilson advances to second on the error on Ibarra. Schaefer was erased 4-6. And both Hadel and Ferris scored. First pitch to Ericart misses, ball 1. So Hadel scored on the fielder's choice. You advance Ferris to third on the fielder's choice. There's a grounder down to short. Ibarra will go the long way over to first, and there's 2 down. Score that one 6-3. So to go with that previous play, Wilson reached first on the fielder's choice and went to second on the throwing error. Schaefer, who was on first, was erased on the fielder's choice 4-6. Ferris advanced to third on the fielder's choice and scored on the throwing error, so it was an unearned run. Hadel, who was on third, scored on the fielder's choice, and his run is earned. First pitch misses, ball 1, to the DH, Sergio Miranda, who grounded to second his first time up. Manatees have 2 runs here in the top of the fourth. They now trail 3-2. The next pitch by Phelps, swung on and missed, fastball. And the count's 0-1. A hit by Miranda could tie it up for the Manatees. Next pitch down in the dirt, blocked by Romine, who slips getting up from behind home plate. But Schaefer did not advance. Wilson did not advance. Yes, I know I'm losing track of the base runners. So to get it right, Wilson is on second with 2 down. And it's Miranda at the plate with a 1-1 count. The 1-1 pitch is a fastball taken up and away, and the count's 2-1. Wilson at second has pretty good speed. He stole 14 bases this year. Next pitch is a line drive hit right to the third baseman, Nunez, who caught it at his shoe tips for the final out. So the Manatees are on the board. 2 runs, 1 hit, an error, a walk, and 1 runner left. We got on the bottom of the 4th here in Tampa. It's the Yankees 3 and the Manatees 2. Well, that's going to be it for Mark Rogers. As we said at the beginning of the broadcast, he's on a limited pitch count due to the shoulder surgery he had a couple of years ago, so he's done. He gave up 3 runs, 4 hits, struck out 1, and he walked 1, 2, 3, 4. The new pitcher is number 29, left-hander Daniel Merklinger. Merklinger. On the year, Daniel was 4-1 with a 2.58 ERA. He was in 8 games for the Manatees, which suggested he probably moved up here from another level, and I'll check on that in just a second. But with Brevard, 38 1/3 innings, 40 strikeouts, 15 walks, gave up 27 hits. Merklinger spent the first half with Wisconsin in the Midwest League, which is 1 level below Brevard. The Timber Rattlers, that's the team in Appleton, Wisconsin. 11 games, 8 starts. He also notched a save, had a 3-2 record with a 2.55 ERA, 53 strikeouts in 53 innings, 17 walks. So third baseman Luis Nunez will lead it off in the 4th for the Yankees, followed by the center fielder Jack Rye and the shortstop Walter Ibarra. Nunez singled in the 1st. First pitch misses down and in, ball 1. Next pitch is swung on, and it's a pop fly into short left field. Brewer gives way to Hadel for the out. So with 1 out, that'll bring up center fielder Jack Rye, who hit a solo home run to lead off the bottom of the 2nd. Left-hander Merklinger's first pitch hits the outside corner, strike 1. Next pitch, down the middle, strike 2. Daniel was named the Prospect of the Week for July 6 in the Midwest League. Next pitch, breaking ball, misses way outside, blocked by Maldonado, and the count's 1-2. Throws his fastball around 90 miles an hour and has a solid curve, according to John Sickles of minorleagueball.com. Next pitch is swung on, and it's a lazy fly ball down the third baseline. Wheeler over at the rail, but that's a good 8 rows up. Merklinger came out of Seton Hall University. One-two pitch is swung on, and it's a hard grounder. Great stop by Ferris on to first for the 2nd out. Eric Ferris racing far to his left, dove for it, knocked the ball down to keep on the infield, and then threw it over to Ericard at first for the 2nd out. So that'll bring up the shortstop, Walter Ibarra. Grounded to short, his first time up in the 2nd. First pitch by Merklinger is a hard grounder to short. Brewer out on the outfield grass bounces the throw to first, but it's handled by Ericart for the out. So Daniel gets the Yankees in order here in the bottom of the fourth, and after 4, the Yankees 3, the Manatees 2. While we wait for the 5th inning to begin, let me tell you a little bit about where we're playing this ball game, Steinbrenner Field. It is named, as you might suspect, after the Yankees' longtime owner, George Steinbrenner. He is the longest current owner in Major League Baseball. And to show you how far he goes back, he bought the Yankees from CBS. Yeah, the television network actually owned the Yankees in the 60s. And in January 1973, a limited partnership headed by Steinbrenner bought the Yankees from CBS. That didn't go very well. Those were some of the worst years ever in Yankees history. And you think, well, why would a television network get involved with owning a baseball team? You saw the same thing happen when Fox bought the Dodgers a few years ago, and the Dodgers pretty much went down the tubes at that time too. But in any case, Steinbrenner bought them in 1973, and here we are 36 years later. And even though his health hasn't been all that great, he still is the name really that reflects the philosophy of how the Yankees are run. This stadium opened in 1996 as the spring training home of the Yankees, and it was built to emulate Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. The field's dimensions are an exact replica of the ballpark in the Bronx. 318 down the left field line, 408 feet to center field, and 314 down the right field line. In 2008, they added a deck behind right field, similar to what you saw at Yankee Stadium, that expanded the capacity to 11,076, making it the largest spring training facility in the Grapefruit League. And you'll see that another link to the Bronx is that there's a replica of the Yankees' retired number placards greeting the faithful as they enter the complex. It was originally opened in 1996 as Legends Field and was renamed after George Steinbrenner prior to the March 27, 2008 spring training game against the Pittsburgh Pirates. All right, top of the 5th, Manatees looking for a run to tie it up at 3. It's going to be Zealous Wheeler, Brent Brewer, and Martin Maldonado, the bottom 3 of the Brevard lineup here in the top of the 5th. First pitch by Phelps. Breaking ball sweeps across the plate for strike 1. Wheeler flied out to center to lead off the 3rd. Next pitch by Phelps. Looked like maybe a changeup, and it's called a strike, and it counts 0-2. The 0-2 pitch, it swung on and it bounced off of the glove of Phelps. It rolls to the second baseman, Adams, who goes on to the first baseman, Smith, for the out. So you'll score that ground out 1-4-3. And that'll bring up the shortstop, Brent Brewer, who struck out in the 3rd. Tampa Yankees pitcher David Phelps struck out or retired the first 9 Manatees batters he faced. Gave up a walk to Lee Hadel in the 4th. And then Logan Schaefer got a single with runners on first and second to load the bases. And that ended the no-hitter. First pitch misses, ball 1. When Phelps has been doing well, he works quickly. There's a curve that hits the outside corner and it counts 1-1. This really is a magnificent ballpark, just as you would expect with the Yankees. There's a line drive into left field, and it's going to be taken on a hop by the left fielder Sublette. So the Manatees have their second hit of the game, and the tying run is on first with 1 out, and that'll bring up the catcher, Martin Maldonado. Martin struck out to end the 3rd and whooped about the call to the home plate umpire. He batted only .199, so even with one out, I wouldn't be surprised if manager Mike Guerrero perhaps calls for a bunt, but no sign of it. Fastball misses way outside, and the count's 1-0. Brewer has good speed at first, stole 19 bases in 26 attempts. Managers sometimes work differently in the playoffs. This pitch swung on and missed. There goes Brewer, and he's out. It almost looked like Brewer pulled up, like he wasn't going full speed. He didn't have his head down, and I have to think maybe the hit and run was on, and he was looking to see if Maldonado made contact. And when Maldonado swung and missed, he was done. Next pitch misses, and the count's 2-1. In any case, Brewer's gone 2-6. Count 2-1 to Maldonado. Swung on, and it's a fly ball curling back into the first base stands and lands just in the lower part of the stands. There's a concourse that wraps around between the two different levels, a walkway really, and it bounced off of the blue seat just below the railing of that walkway and then went up into the upper level. Count 2-2 on Maldonado. Phelps' pitch, swung on, and it's a grounder up the middle, backhanded by the shortstop, Ibarra, onto the first baseman Smith, and the Manatees are done in the top of the fifth. No runs, a hit, no errors, and nobody left thanks to the double play. We go to the bottom of the fifth, 4.5 innings in the book. Yankees 3, Manatees 2. While we wait for Dan Merklinger to take the mound for the Manatees in the bottom of the fifth, let me tell you a little bit more about him based on information that's on the Seton Hall University website. In 2006, he was the first team National Junior College Baseball Association selection. Two-time selection to the College Baseball Foundation. Named the National Junior College Baseball Association Pitcher of the Week twice. Big East Pitcher of the Week twice. Led his team in strikeouts with 83. Goes on to tell us a lot more highlights. Let's just give you the overall numbers. 2005, 9 games, all starts, 1-5 record, 4.20 ERA, and 45 innings, struck out 38, walked 21. 2006, 14 games, 13 starts, 4-7 record with a 4.57 ERA. In 2007, as a senior, he was ranked by Baseball America as one of the top pitchers in New Jersey. And he was the captain of his team as a senior. All right, bottom of the fifth. The Manatees trying to hold the Yankees at their 3-2 lead. We go to the top of the lineup with Daniel Brewer, followed by David Adams and Austin Romine. Let's get you an update on what's happening in the South Division playoff game. They are in the top of the fifth at Charlotte. Fort Myers and Charlotte are tied at 2. 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors for the Miracle. 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Stone Crabs. The 2 top pitchers in the league by wins, David Bromberg and Jeremy Hall, going each other. First pitch misses, ball 1 from David Phelps. Brent Brewer, 0 for 2, grounded to short in the first, grounded to third in the second. Next pitch is a curveball that comes in for a strike, and the count's 1-1. Merkler's next pitch is a fastball. It's a fly ball into right center field. Charging in is the right fielder Wilson, and he has it for the first out. So with 1 down, that'll bring up second baseman David Adams. He singled in the first and grounded to third in the second. This is the first of a 3-game series to determine who wins the North Division here in the Florida State League. Game 2 is scheduled for tomorrow night at Space Coast Stadium in Viera. First pitch by Merklinger. Fastball hits the inside corner for a strike. If necessary, Game 3 will be on Thursday in Viera. Dan's next pitch is taken high, and the count's 1-1. The Manatees have announced that all seats will be only $5 for their playoff games. Normally it's general admission $7, but it's down to $5 for these games. Curveball comes down and in, and the count goes 2-1. You can order your tickets through the Manatees website at www.manateesbaseball.com. Merklinger's 2-1 pitch. Swung on, and it's fouled way over the overhang and leaves the ballpark on the first base side. Count 2-2. You can also call the Manatees front office at area code 321-633-9200. That's 321-633-9200. Merklinger's 2-2 pitch is a changeup, and it misses high, and the count's 3-2. The capacity at Space Coast Stadium is a nick over 8,000 because it's the Washington National Spring Training Complex. 3-2 pitch, down and in, and the count goes ball 4, and Adams walks with 1 out. So if you want to wait and see if weather's permitting that we're going to play tomorrow night, you can get into Space Coast Stadium, I think, within a half-hour drive anywhere in Brevard County. And we'd love to fill that place up, but with 8,000 seats, it's not that likely. My point being is that if you want to wait to the last second, you can certainly walk up and get a $5 ticket. First pitch is swung on by Austin Romine and lined back into the net, 0-1. Romine walked in the first and struck out in the third. And if you happen to be a Tampa Yankees fan listening to this game on the internet, it's about a 2.5-hour drive from here to the Space Coast. Lob tossed by Merklinger back to first, and Adams back standing. That's the drive we made today. We just went, well, if you were making the drive, you'd go north on the I-4 until you got to the 528 and then just head east. 0-1 pitch is a grounder down to second. Ferris goes on to first for the second out. Advancing to second is David Adams on the fielder's choice. So that'll bring up the left fielder David Sublette, who walked in the first and walked in the third. The opportunity to see your home team in the playoffs doesn't come all that time, especially the opportunity to win a pennant. The Manatees were named co-champions in 2001. They were in the playoffs in 2001 against these same Tampa Yankees, and I believe that series was tied 1 apiece when the September 11 terrorist attacks occurred. Minor League Baseball shut down at that point, and so the Yankees and Manatees were declared co-champions. Merklinger steps off the rubber, fakes a throw back to second, and back to second is the runner Adams. But the Manatees have never won the pennant outright. First pitch is a big looping curveball that misses outside, ball 1. The last time the Manatees were in the playoffs was 2007. Next pitch misses away, and the count's 2-0. In 2007, they won the East Division Championship over the St. Lucie Mets 2-1, but they lost the league championship to the Clearwater Threshers 3-1. That's a Phillies affiliate. The league was since its inception in the early 90s, divided east and west. There's a changeup that hits for a strike, and the count's 2-2. But, or excuse me, 2-1. Last year, the Vero Beach franchise that had been the Dodgers almost forever moved from Vero to Charlotte. The Rays were in there last year after the Dodgers moved out of Vero Beach. There's a big changeup, and that one misses outside, and the count goes 3-1. So after the Dodgers left in 2007, the Rays came in for 2008, and they decided to move that franchise over to Charlotte so it'd be closer to Tampa. There's a fastball that's bounced down in the dirt, and it's ball 4 to Sublette. So Sublette is on first, Adams on second with 2 down, and that'll bring up a designated hitter, Brandon Laird. Laird flying out to center in the first. It was a sacrifice fly because it scored Adams from third. And then he singled in the third and was erased on a double play. So when Vero Beach moved to Charlotte, it forced a realignment of the divisions in the Florida State League. And they decided to switch from an east-west alignment to a north-south alignment. Merkingler on the mound, working from a stretch on the third base side of the rubber. Some pitchers will line up on one side, some in the middle, some on the first base side. Merkingler steps off and fakes a throw to second. Adams returns to the bag. The shortstop Brewer raced in to cover there at second should Merkingler choose to throw. Now he steps off the rubber, and he wants to talk to Maldonado. Apparently there's some confusion on the sequence of the signs. He flicked his glove when he was in the stretch, and they typically do that to indicate go through the sequence of signs again. When there's a runner on second, they have to go through a series of several signs, and there's a key that changes from time to time. So he may show 5 or 6 different signs, and Merkinger has to figure out which one is the actual pitch. All right, they're squared away now, and the first pitch is down and away, ball 1. Yankees trying to add to their 3-2 lead here in the bottom of the 5th. The 1-0 pitch, fastball misses away, and the count's 2-0. Adams on second, Sublette on third. 2 down, bottom of the 5th. Yankees got ahead 3-0 after 2, but the Manatees put 2 runs on the board in the top of the 4th. 2-0 pitch. He went around, tried to check his swing, but couldn't on the fastball, and the count's 2-1. Laird bats right-handed. The Manatee outfield is shaded slightly to the left side. Schaefer about a good 30-40 feet into left center field. The 2-1 pitch is a curveball. He hung it. It goes down the opposite way to right field. It's going to roll to the wall. Wilson fields it against the wall. Going to second with the double is Laird. Adams and Sublette score, and it's now 5-2 Tampa. That appeared to be a curveball that Merkingler hung up in the eyes of Laird, and he hit it the opposite way down the right field line. It made it all the way to the wall before Stephen Wilson could field it, and that gave Adams and Sublette plenty of time to score. The Yankees have retrieved back the 2 runs that they gave up to Brevard in the top of the 4th, and it's now 5-2 Tampa. And now they make the appeal play at third, suggesting that perhaps Sublette missed the bag, but the third base umpire says no, he didn't. Boy, if he'd been called out, what a difference that would have made. All right, Laird off his second. Kevin Smith at the plate. First pitch. Fastball misses away. Ball 1. Smith walked in the first and grounded out to second in the third. Merklinger looks back at second, and the next pitch, fastball hits the inside corner, and the count's 1-1. Manatee starter Mark Rogers worked only the first 3 innings. He struggled in an uncharacteristically poor performance. Merkingler's next pitch, fastball misses outside. Martin Maldonado framed it there, hoping to get the home plate umpire to call it a strike, but he didn't. Count 2-1. The outfield defensive lineman plays him straight away, and there's a big breaking ball that bends in on the inside corner, and it's called a strike. 2-2. On deck is the third baseman, Luis Nunez. 2-2 pitch. Curveball swung on over the glove of the third baseman Wheeler into left field for a base hit. Up with the throw. Here it comes to home. Maldonado can't hold on to the ball, and the runner is safe. And Smith advances to second on the throw. 6-2 Yankees.
Up next is third baseman number 13, Luis Nunez.
Lee Hadel made the throw down to home plate. Martin Maldonado tried to block the plate, but as he spun to block the plate, he lost control of the ball, and that allowed Laird to score. Pitching coach Fred Dabney comes out to talk to Merklinger. Joined at the mound by Maldonado. Chris Ericart was there briefly, the first baseman. He walks away. Second baseman Eric Ferris walks away. Home plate umpire comes out just to eavesdrop. Dabney claps his hands, says, "Go get him," and returns to the third base dugout. So the Yankees have put 3 more runs on the board here in the bottom of the 5th to take a 6-2 lead. And that'll bring up the third baseman, Luis Nunez, who walked in the first and hit a pop fly to left field in the 4th. Kevin Smith off of second, and the first pitch, fastball hits the outside corner, strike 1. Tampa has been so hot in the second half. The Manatees play consistently throughout the year, but Tampa just ran away with the division in the second half. Fastball misses outside, and the count's 1-1. Maldonado stood up and faked a throw down to second, but didn't follow through. Smith off of second. The pitch is swung on, and it's a pop fly out behind second base. Ferris is there for it, and the Yankees are out in the bottom of the 5th, but they put 3 more runs on the board on 2 hits, 2 walks, and 1 left. We've gone 5 here at George Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, and the Yankees have gone out to a 6-2 lead. I'm going to stick the headset out the window and let you listen for just a little bit, and I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Tampa Yankees fans, tickets for the Florida State League Championship Series are on sale now. In the event the Tampa Yankees advance, the series may begin as early as Thursday night. Check TYBaseball.com to stay up to date on the Tampa Yankees' journey through the playoffs.
Top of the sixth here in Tampa. The Yankees out to a commanding 6-2 lead over the Manatees. In the top of the sixth, Brevard will send up the left fielder Lee Hadel, followed by the second baseman Eric Ferris and the center fielder Logan Schaefer. In the other playoff game in this league, Fort Myers had a 5-run top of the fifth, and they now lead Charlotte 6-2 after 4.5. First pitch by Phelps. Fastball, strike one. Hadel lined out to short to lead off the game and walked and scored in the fourth. Next pitch by Phelps. Fastball misses away and the count's 1-1. Yankees third baseman Nunez a couple of steps in on the grass looking for a bunt from Hadel. The next pitch is swung on with a fastball up and in, and he puts it back into the net, 1-2. The net behind home plate here at Steinbrenner Field goes all the way up to the overhang, so there's no way that a foul ball can get through to the press box. 1-2 pitch is swung on, and it's hit the opposite way in the left field for a base hit. Around first and holding is Hadel as the left fielder Sublette gets the ball in. So it's a leadoff single for Hadel and the Manatees here in the top of the sixth. You have a mountain to climb. They gave up 3 runs in the bottom of the fifth. So that'll bring up second baseman Eric Ferris, who struck out in the first, reach on a fielder's choice in the fourth. While we're talking about the Florida State League pennant here, let's also note a significant achievement elsewhere in Brevard County. Phelps working from the stretch, first pitch. Ferris checks his swing. Did he go around? No. Ball one. The Manatees play in Space Coast Stadium in Vieira, which is the spring training home of the Washington Nationals. The Manatees, however, are not a Nationals affiliate. The franchise is actually a Milwaukee Brewers affiliate. Next pitch is swung on and missed, fastball up in his eyes, and the count's 1-1. The Manatees are actually owned by an independent group in Orlando, and they've affiliated with the Brewers. They lease the stadium from the Nationals, who actually lease it from Brevard County. If you've been to the stadium, you know there are several minor league fields next to the stadium. There's a breaking ball that misses, the count's 2-1. The Nationals have a Gulf Coast League team that plays out of there during the summer. Gulf Coast League is a half-season team comprised largely of players out of the first-year draft. This pitch is swung on, and it's a bouncer down to third. Nunez goes on to the first baseman Smith for the out, and advancing to second on the fielder's choice is Lee Hadel. So that'll bring up Logan Schaefer, who bounced out to first his first time up and singled in the fourth. The Nationals Gulf Coast League team won the pennant last week. They were playing in the championship series, best 2 out of 3, against the Florida Marlins team from their minor league complex in Jupiter. They won the first game 3-1 down in Jupiter, and then 5-4 in Vieira on Thursday. Fastball misses down low, ball one. And when I drove past there the other day on the way to Space Coast Stadium, I saw a nice big Gulf Coast League pennant flying there on the pole right alongside Stadium Parkway. So congratulations to the National for winning the pennant. There's a breaking ball and misses down and in, and the count's 2-0. If the Manatees can win the pennant this year, we'll have 2 pennants flying there along Stadium Parkway. Wouldn't that be great? But certainly for the Nationals, with all the turmoil that the parent club's gone through this year, dismissing their general manager and their manager, it was nice to get some positive news. This was a fastball swung on and missed, and the count's 2-1. If you go to my website, spacecoastbaseball.com, I've been out shooting video during the last couple of months of both the Manatees and the Gulf Coast League Nationals. If you go there on the left column under videos, you'll actually see the video of the Nationals winning the pennant on Thursday. you'll see a home run that was hit by Angelbert Montia, and then you'll also see the final out, and we go on the field for the big dog pile and pouring the Gatorade on the manager. There's a bunt by Schaefer, fielded by Romine, throws a strike down to first, but it's too late. So that'll be a bunt single for Logan Schaefer. Lee Hadel advances to third. The Manatees have runners on the corners with one out, and that'll bring up cleanup hitter right fielder Stephen Wilson. Luis Sojo is coming to the mound, so it looks like that may be all for David Phelps. Sojo asks for the ball, and that's it. So Phelps did a great job. He's responsible for the runners on base, but so far 2 runs, 4 hits. He struck out 4 and walked 1. Now let's see if we can see who the new pitcher is. While we wait to find out who the new pitcher is, anyway, if you go to spacecoastbaseball.com, in the left-hand column under videos, you'll see the celebration. Even if it's minor league ball and it's rookie ball, there's just nothing like a dog pile. And especially these young kids who've struggled to get where they were, you really had to feel happy for them that they were able to achieve something. A lot of them, too, are Latin players in the Dominican and Venezuela, a lot of them speaking Spanish, and if you watch the video, you'll actually see that there's a lot of translation going on. The new pitcher is right-hander Phil Bartleski, B-A-R-T-L-E-S-K-I, 6'7", goodness gracious, 240 pounds. He's 26 years old, out of Charlottesville, Virginia. I don't see any statistics for him during the regular season on the stat sheet we were handed, so let me check the magic internet and see what I can find on Bartleski. Well, Bartleski played at 4 different levels this year, and a lot of times that happens when a player's coming off of rehab. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of information about him. But his numbers overall in 2009 between the 4 levels, 4-2, 3.38 ERA, 21 relief appearances, 37 1/3 innings. Struck out 40 and walked 10. He had 1 game where he threw 2 innings with the Gulf Coast League Yankees. That's the same league as the Nationals who we're just talking about. The Gulf Coast League fields are down the road here from Steinbrenner Field. He had 2 games for a grand total of 4 innings with Staten Island in the New York Penn League short season ball. That's 1 level above the Gulf Coast League. 16 games here in Tampa, 4-1 with a 2.86 ERA, 28 1/3 innings. Okay. Schaefer at first, Hadel at third, 1 out, and at the plate is Stephen Wilson. Bartleski steps off the rubber and looks over to first, and Schaefer steps back to first. Wilson, 0 for 2, flied out to left in the second and reached on a fielder's choice in the fourth. First pitch by Bartleski. Breaking ball sweeps in. Looks like it was maybe a slider, and the count's 0-1. Wilson hit 3 home runs on Sunday in the doubleheader, 2 in Game 1 and 1 in Game 2. The 0-1 pitch is a changeup swung on and missed, and the count's 0-2. Bartleski, in addition to those other levels, actually got into 2 games in Double-A with Trenton in the Eastern League. 3 innings, 6 hits, gave up 4 runs, struck out 3 and walked 1. Now, at 26 years of age, quite frankly, that's rather old for this level. Next pitch by Bartlesky. Misses way outside, and Austin Romine has to dive for it to keep it from going to the backstop. 1-2. You can, and there are always exceptions to the rule here, but you can generally judge whether or not a player is legit prospect by the level he's at and his age relative to that level. Next pitch will appear to be a changeup that missed, and the count goes 2-2. At this level, if you're a legit Major League prospect, usually you're no older than 23. Now, like I said, that's not a hard and fast rule. That's more of a guideline. The 2-2 pitch swung on the opposite way, goes into right field for a base hit. That'll score Hadel. Going to third is Schaefer. The throw is cut off by the shortstop, Ibarra. And Stephen Wilson has an RBI single to score Hadel. And the Manatees are not ready to roll over. Now they trail by a score of 6-3. And they bring the tying run to the plate in Chris Ericart, who's struck out and grounded to short. Ericart had 8 homers this year for the Manatees. But talking about top prospect status, if you go one level below this, which is basic A, generally the top prospects are no older than 21, 22. First pitch by Bartlesky, fastball, strike 1. If you're not familiar with how the minor leagues are structured, and you hear us talking about AAA, AA, all these other A's, and you're thinking, well, what's with all this A stuff? Bartlesky set, and his 0-1 pitch is swung on. It's a high fly ball in the shallow left center field. The shortstop, Ibarra, fields it, and there's 2 down. Well, once upon a time, they did actually have in the minor leagues A, B, C, and D. But as television became very popular and common in the late 50s, people preferred to stay home in their air conditioning rather than going out to watch minor league baseball. So a lot of minor leagues in the late 50s and early 60s started to die and disappear. Sergio Miranda at the plate, batting left-handed against Bartlesky. First pitch swinging, and he hits a base hit into center field. That'll score Schaefer. Holding at second is Wilson. And now it's 6-4. And Zealous Wheeler will come to the plate, representing the go-ahead run. Zealous has power. He's hit 7 home runs. And again, if you go to my website, spacecoastbaseball.com, and you look under videos, go down a ways, so you'll see a dinger he hit a few weeks back that I caught on film. But getting back to talking about the levels, as we get to the early 60s, minor league baseball was really struggling, and one of the things that they felt was hurting them is, well, how can I market myself if I'm Class D? It sounds like one level above an F. Runners off first and second. The first pitch by Bartlesky looks like a slider that came in for a strike. 0-1. So, I think around 1963 or so, minor league baseball restructured. Next pitch by Bartlesky, swung on and it's hit back into the net. 0-2. I don't have in front of me what the Florida State League was back then, but now it's known as Advanced A, and back then that was Class C, to give you a rough equivalent. The next pitch, swung on, and it's a fly ball down the right field line, looping into the corner, and it lands in the, I guess that's a service area they have down there. I don't think that's the bullpen. I can see that the Yankees bullpen is actually behind the right field fence, again, similar to the way old Yankee Stadium used to be. But as you get down the right field line, there's an open area there in the corner by the foul pole, and I'm guessing maybe that's a service area for the grounds crew to come in. Next pitch bounces away from Romine, and the runners are going to advance to second and third. As I said before, they don't show on the scoreboard whether it's a wild pitch or a pass ball, but I'm going to call that a wild pitch because that was a good 4 or 5 feet outside. And Romine did get in front of it, and it bounced away, but that was pretty difficult to block, so I'm going to call that a wild pitch. Miranda advances to second, Wilson to third. Slider misses away, and the count goes full 3-2 to Zealous Wheeler. On deck, Brent Brewer. Manatees have 2 runs on the board here in the top of the 6th. They now trail 6-4. The tying run is at second. The pitch is swung on, and it's a line drive foul down the right field line, and it goes over the overhang out of the stadium. Count remains 2-2. So the way that the minors are structured now, the top level is AAA. The next level is AA. Then after that is advanced or high A, and that's the Florida State League level. This pitch misses away, and the count goes full 3-2. So the Manatees and the Tampa Yankees are advanced or high A. Below that is low A, or sometimes known as just basic A or class A. 3-2 pitch is taken inside, ball 4 to Wheeler, and the bases are loaded. And the natives are getting restless. So now bring up the shortstop, Brent Brewer, who struck out in the 3rd and singled in the 5th. Finished at .290 for the year with 4 homers, 29 RBI. Time is called as Tampa's pitching coach, Greg Pavlik, is coming out to the mound to talk to Bartlesky. So again, we said AAA is the top, then AA, then advanced or high A, and then low or just A. And then you get the 2 short season leagues, and they generally start in mid-June, within a couple of weeks after the June draft. And within those, there's 2 different levels. One is called short season A, which is considered to be a little bit more advanced than rookie A. Not much difference between the 2 other than short A sometimes is considered a little bit more advanced. First pitch by Bartlesky, Brewer shows a bunt and takes it, ball 1. I think he was just showing a bunt to give the third baseman, Nunez, something to think about. I don't think the squeeze was on there. Bartlesky working from the stretch, and the 1-0 pitch swung on and missed at a fastball, and the count's 1-1. A lot of times, too, in short A or rookie A, you see players who are very raw and have been in camp the whole time. This is a fastball taken away, and the count's 2-1. Minor league camps will have what's called extended spring training for players that don't get assigned to a full season team, but they're not released either. The 2-1 pitch is taken inside, ball 3, and Bartlesky is 1 pitch away from walking in a run and putting the tying run 90 feet away. He steps off the rubber, walks behind the mound to collect himself. Now he's back on top of the mound. And the 3-1 pitch swung on, and it's rolled foul down the third baseline, about a foot foul of the third base bag. Yankees third baseman Nunez slips the ball into the stands to a fan, and the count goes full, 3-2. 2 down, bases loaded. Manatees have 2 runs on the board in their top of the 6th, but trail 6-4. Critical moment of the game. 3-2 pitch as the runners go, swung on and missed, strike 3. So the Manatees score 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and they leave the bases loaded. We go to the bottom of the 6th. The Yankees now lead Brevard by a score of 6-4. Let's check on the major league scores while we're between innings. Rangers at Cleveland for a doubleheader. Texas won the first game 11-9. They're underway in game 2. No score in the bottom of the 1st between the Rangers and the Indians. The Tampa Bay Rays are in the Bronx to play the Yankees, and it's in the bottom of the sixth with New York ahead 1-0. That was a solo home run by Nick Swisher. In Toronto, the Minnesota Twins are ahead of the Toronto Blue Jays in the bottom of the sixth, 3-0. In Fenway, bottom of the fifth, the Boston Red Sox having fun with the Baltimore Orioles. It's 8-0. Home runs by Youkilis, Drew, 2 by Pedroia, and Gonzalez. I think Joe Garagiola once called Fenway Park the world's biggest pinball machine. I think he was right. Tigers in Kansas City are tied at 2. They are in the top of the third. In Chicago, the A's are ahead of the White Sox 7-0 in the top of the third. And the Mariners and the Angels get started at 10:05 East Coast time, 7:05 in California. In the National League, top of the sixth, the Cubs lead the Pirates 8-2 in Pittsburgh. The Phillies just put 3 runs on the board in the top of the seventh and lead the Washington Nationals 4-2 in D.C. Florida Marlins ahead of the New York Mets 4-2 going to the top of the sixth. Bottom of the third in Houston, the Braves lead the Astros 1-0. All right, Jack Rye steps in. We'll finish that in just a second. First pitch by Merklinger, big curveball, misses inside, 1-0. Rye homered to lead off the bottom of the second and grounded to second in the fourth. Next pitch by Merklinger is a breaking ball inside and it counts 1-1. It is 2-0. Milwaukee leads St. Louis 3-0 in the second. There's a strike, 2-1. Colorado scored in the bottom of the first against Cincinnati and leads 1-0. Here's a pop fly on the... Now it's drifting out into short right center field. 3 players out there, and the center fielder Schaefer has it for the out. Second baseman Ferris and the right fielder Wilson were also out there, but Schaefer called them off and took the ball for the first out. So with 1 out, that'll bring up the shortstop Walter Ibarra, who was grounded to short both times he was at bat. In Phoenix, the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks are at 9:40. There's a fastball in the inside corner, 0-1. Next pitch by Merklinger. Hits the inside corner this time, and it's 0-2. And San Diego and San Francisco at 10:15 Eastern Time, 7:15 on the West Coast. 0-2 pitch by Merklinger. Swung on, and it's a line drive over the Yankees dugout into the first base stands. Ricochets back on top of the dugout, rolls into the camera well. Manatees staff photographer Dennis Greenblatt feels that one and tosses it back into the stands. 0-2 pitch. Oh, and it hits Ibarra. Looks like it caught him in the left thigh. Well, he certainly didn't want to do that. So the Yankees have a runner on first with 1 out. We go back to the top of the lineup with right fielder Daniel Brewer, who's 0 for 3. Grounded to short, grounded to third, and flied out to right field. Well, time is called. Manager Mike Guerrero is coming to the mound, and that's going to be it for Daniel Merklinger. So let's see. He worked 2 1/3 innings. Gave up 2 runs that I see. Two walks and a single and a hit batter. Actually, he gave up 3 runs. 3 runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, and a hit batter. The new pitcher for the Manatees is number 41, Mark Walensky. Mark pitched on Sunday. And normally, you see Mark come in a more critical situation. Walensky will sometimes even close. He has 4 saves this year. Or excuse me, he has 2 saves this year and 4 opportunities. 36 games, a 5.2 record, 3.73 ERA. In 16 1/3 innings, struck out 45, walked 34. 4 wild pitches. Walensky 6'4", 250, 22 years old, out of Ventura, California. Walensky went to Santa Clara University. And he was chosen in the 15th round of the 2008 draft by the Brewers. His last year with Santa Clara, 5.46 ERA. Appeared in 20 games, had a 4-2 record. In 28 innings, struck out 38, walked 19. Now, keep in mind that in college, they're using those aluminum bats, so ERAs are typically a lot more inflated. Okay, Walensky comes in with Ibarra on first and 1 out. The Manatees trailed by 2, 6-4 in the bottom of the 6th. They put 2 runs on the board in the top of the 6th. They don't want to let this get away. They crept back into the game. Walensky from the stretch, and his first pitch, breaking ball sweeps away, and the count's 1-0. Ibarra at first stole 11 bases in 16 attempts in 74 games for the Yankees. Next pitch by Walensky, way outside, fastball misses, and the count's 2-0. Walensky in 2007 with Santa Clara was a redshirt. And that's not the red shirt as in the guy who gets killed in Star Trek, but it means that he took the year off from playing ball. There's a fly ball at deep center field. Schaefer on his horse to the warning track. It's over his head. It's against the wall. Here comes Smith around third. The throw to the plate. Maldonado's got it, blocks him off. And that wasn't Smith, I'm sorry. That was Ibarra. And Ibarra is out. Advancing to third on the throw was Brewer. So give Brewer a double. He advances to third on the throw to the plate. The relay throw on that, I believe, was 8-4-2, and Maldonado blocked off the plate. You remember earlier in the broadcast, I was telling you Maldonado came out of the Angels system. David Adams steps in at the plate with 2 down. First pitch by Walensky. Hits the outside corner of the fastball, strike 1. And we said Maldonado came out of the Angels system where Mike Scioscia is the manager and expects his catchers to block that plate. And he dropped the knee right in front of home plate just the way Mike Scioscia used to do it in the big leagues with the Dodgers. 0-1 pitch. Looked like a curveball that hit the inside corner, 0-2. Big play there by Logan Schaefer to get that ball in there quickly. And then Maldonado, as we said earlier, who hit only a 199 during the year, he's in there for his defense. And he blocked off the plate to keep that run from scoring, and it keeps it at only a 2-run deficit for the Manatees. Adams singled in the first, grounded out to third in the second, and walked in the fifth. The 0-2 pitch by Walensky looked like an off-speed pitch, maybe a changeup, and the count's 1-2. I was saying that Walensky was a redshirt in his sophomore season, and what that basically means in college is that you can actually play 4 years, but you can be in college for 5 years. It means you take 1 year off from playing. There's a breaking ball down and in. Maldonado blocks it, picks the ball up, and fakes a throw down to third, but Brewer's back to third. So the count's 2-2. Maldonado calls time to go out to talk to the Walensky. So Walensky played his freshman year at Santa Clara, where he was second in the West Coast Conference in saves and third in appearances at 28. He struck out 38 batters in 39.1 innings. He took off 2007, and then 2008 made 20 more appearances, all in relief, and then was selected by the Brewers in the 15th round. 2-2 pitch, swung on. It's a line drive caught by the first baseman, Ericard, on his knees for the final out. So for the Yankees, no runs, 1 hit, a hit batter, no errors, and 1 left. After 6 here in Tampa, the Yankees 6, the Manatees 4. Well, let's go and check on what's happening in the South Division. When we last checked in, Fort Myers had put 5 runs on the board to take a commanding lead over Charlotte. And they put 2 more on the board in the top of the 6th, and now the Miracle lead Charlotte by 8-3. That was a matchup of 2 of the top pitchers in the league by wins. David Bromberg for Fort Myers, who was named the pitcher of the year in the league. He's still in there after 5 2/3 innings. He's allowed 3 runs on 9 hits, struck out 4, walked 4. Jeremy Hall, who started for the Stone Crabs, 4 1/3 innings, 6 runs, 5 earned on 5 hits, struck out 1 and walked 3. He's been relieved by Darcy, who gave up 2 runs, 1 earned in an inning and 2/3. The Stone Crabs have committed 2 errors, which apparently have cost them at least 2 runs. Once again, the format for the playoffs here, it's a best-of-3 series to determine the division titles in the North and the South. In this series, Game 1 tonight at Tampa, and then Game 2 is tomorrow night in Vieira. And if Game 3 is necessary on Thursday, well, it'll also be in Vieira because the Manatees won the first half. They get the home field advantage. All tickets at Space Coast Stadium are going to be only $5 each. During the regular season, general admission is $7, and you can sit anywhere you want, except there are placards on season ticket holder seats. But for the playoffs, the season ticket holders still get their tickets for free, but every place else in Space Coast Stadium is going to be only $5 a piece. Our capacity is 8,000, so there's plenty of room for you to come out tomorrow night and Thursday if we play Game 3. All right, top of the 7th, the Manatees trying to close a 6-4 deficit. First pitch to Martin Maldonado, misses, ball 1. Martin 0 for 2, struck out and grounded out to short. Next pitch misses, and it's 2-0. You can order your playoff tickets for the Manatees by calling the box office at area code 321-633-9200. Next pitch by Bartlesky looked like a slider that missed up and in, and it counts 3-0. That number again, 321-633-9200. Next pitch by Bartlesky, and that one missed up, I guess, because it looked like a strike to me, but I am at an angle, so it's ball 4. Leadoff walk to Maldonado. We go back to the top of the lineup with Lee Hadel. And here comes manager Luis Soto. That's going to be it for Bartlesky. So Bartlesky will leave, and we'll see who comes in to replace him. Meanwhile, while we talk about ordering playoff tickets, you can also go to the Manatees website at www.manateesbaseball.com. Or you can just walk up on game night. Again, with a capacity of 8,000, we'd have to go a long way to fill the place up, and we'd love to do that. Typically, a good night in the minor leagues is at this level is going to be a couple thousand. So if you want to wait and see how the weather goes, don't be afraid to just come on out. I think anybody anywhere in Brevard County can get to the ballpark in Vieira within a half hour's drive. The new pitcher for Tampa is Pat Venditte, Venditte, number 50. I was hoping we would see him. He is the only ambidextrous pitcher active in the minor leagues. His overall numbers, 2-0 with a 2.21 ERA in 21 games with Tampa, 36 2/3 innings, 47 strikeouts, 9 walks, and he's given up 37 hits. He's got a unique glove that has 6 fingers in it. He can throw left-handed or he can throw right-handed. And in fact, as he took his warm-ups here, he originally took a few right-handed, and now he's turned around and throwing some left-handed. In reading up on, I assume it's pronounced Venditte or Vendit. I'm waiting to hear the PA announce him. I read an article on the internet that said that because of him, that the umpires came up with a special rule which says that, hang on for a second. I was hoping to hear the pronunciation of his name. I think it's Vendit. But they said the umpires came up with a rule that before each batter he has to signal whether he's going to pitch left-handed or right-handed. So he's pitching left-handed now against Lee Hadel. First pitch is a strike. Nope, not a strike. 1-0. Six to 4 Yankees. Tying run at the plate with Lee Hadel. Next pitch is swung on and missed, and the count's 1-1. Now, he's not the first ambidextrous player in history. I remember in the Angels system about 10 years ago, we had a guy by the name of Juan Rodriguez. Next pitch by Vendit is a breaking ball that was hung, and it's a fly ball into short right field. Racing in is the right fielder, Brewer, for the out. The second baseman, Adams, was racing out, and then for a second there, it looked like they might collide. But Brewer took charge and took it for the out. So with 1 out, that'll bring up the second baseman, Eric Ferris. And Vendit changes his glove and will now pitch right-handed. Ferris struck out, reached on a fielder's choice, and grounded to third. As I was saying, I remember the Angels back in the late 90s had a minor league outfielder by the name of Juan Rodriguez. First pitch hits the outside corner for a strike. And as I mentioned earlier, for a number of years when I lived in California, I ran a website, futureangels.com, that covered the Angels minor league. So I had a chance to see Juan play. Here's another fastball for a strike, 0-2. I remember a doubleheader at Lake Elsinore, which at the time was an Angels affiliate. And Juan played center field in both games. Game 1 he played left-handed, and Game 2 he played right-handed. And of course he was a switch hitter at the plate. 0-2 pitch by Vendit. Misses away, 1-2. Found the article. It was on the St. Petersburg Times website, August 28th. Next pitch is swung on, it's fouled back into the net, counts 1-2. And it said as a right-hander, Vendit can throw a fastball more than 90 miles an hour, and as a left-hander, he can throw a changeup and a slider from an assortment of angles. Manager Louis Soho There's a pitch down the dirt, blocked by Romine, but heading to second is Maldonado. That'll be a wild pitch on Vendit. Manager Louis Soho told the St. Petersburg Times, having a guy who can throw with both arms is not something you see every day. It definitely gives him a little edge. Says he's the first switch pitcher. Well, I'm just reading here. It says he's the first. There's a pop foul in the first base seats in the upper level. Counts 2-2. Says he is the first switch pitcher to appear in a pro game since Greg Harris of the Expos in his final season in 1995, and that was considered more of a stunt. The next pitch by Vendit, breaking ball, sweeps away, and it counts 3-2. I was about to say, I think Juan Rodriguez with the Angels in the minor leagues, I think he did pitch on an occasion, but I'd have to go back and check. He was not normally a pitcher. He was sort of a super utility player. He played the outfield most of the time, whereas Greg Harris and Vendit both are exclusively pitchers. 3-2 pitch, swung on and fouled back on top of the net, protecting the seats behind home plate. Count remains 3-2. 1 out. Maldonado on second. Manatees trail 6-4 in the top of the 7th. Vendit comes set, looks back at Maldonado with a 3-2 pitch. A swung on it. It's a grounder, a one hop to second. Adams over to first for 2 down, and Maldonado advances to third on the fielder's choice. So with 2 down, that'll bring up center fielder Logan Schaefer, who grounded to first in the first, singled in the 4th, and singled in the 6th. He bats left-handed, so of course Vendit will pitch left-handed. Third baseman is in on the grass. Here's a slow changeup that Schaefer swung on and fouled back into the net. 0-1. The article says that Vendit forced the Professional Baseball Umpire Corporation to create a rule for ambidextrous pitchers when he squared off with a switch hitter in a bizarre cat-and-mouse sequence on June 19, 2008. There's a curveball that missed outside, 1-1. Vendit was pitching for short season Class A Staten Island, and he kept switching glove hands. And Brooklyn's Ralph Henriquez kept switching sides of the plate to create the more favorable matchup. There's another big curveball that misses outside, 2-1. It says eventually both went righty and Henriquez struck out to end the game. But it notes that Vendit has a custom-made glove that allows him to wear it on his left or right hand. 2-1 pitch is another breaking ball across the plate for a 2-2 count. So it says now he must declare which arm he will use before an at-bat. Comes set, and the 2-2 pitch. It's a curveball, and it's a fly ball to deep left center, right center field on the center fielder on his horse. Rye catches up to it for the final out. So the Manatees leave Maldonado at third. No runs, no hits, a walk, and 1 left to the stretch half of the 7th. It's the Yankees 6, the Manatees 4, and we'll let you listen to takeouts of the ball game. Stretch half of the seventh. The Yankees trying to expand on a 6-4 lead over the Manatees. If Tampa goes on to win tonight's game, then Brevard must win tomorrow night and Thursday night at Space Coast Stadium at home to go on to the championship series against the winner of Fort Myers and Charlotte. Last time we checked, Fort Myers was ahead 8-3 at Charlotte. But now we check again, and in the bottom of the sixth, the Stonecrafts have put 3 runs on the board to cut the deficit to 8-6. If Charlotte loses game 1 at home, then they have to go in 2 straight in Fort Myers, which is pretty tough to do in a short series. All right, Mark Walensky in the bottom of the seventh to face Austin Romine, Damon Sublette, and Brandon Laird. Walensky's first pitch, fastball misses away, ball 1. Romine, named the Florida State League Player of the Year, walked in the first, walked in the third, and walked in the fifth. 3 walks. Next pitch by Walensky hits the outside corner with a fastball, 1-1. You know what? Scratch what I just said. That was Damon Sublette. Romine walked in the first, struck out in the third, and grounded to second in the fifth. 1-1 pitch by Walensky is a breaking ball that misses outside, 2-1. The Manatees' defensive alignment in the outfield shaded slightly to the left. 2-1 pitch by Walensky, fastball misses way outside and it counts 3-1. Like many relievers, Walensky works from a stretch even when there are no runners on base. They do it so often because they come in with runners on base that they get pretty used to it. 3-1 pitch to Romine. Fastball hits the outside corner and it counts 3-2. And Damon Sublette is on deck. Manager Louis Soho down the third baseline, way beyond the coach's box, respecting Romine's power. He takes ball 4, and Romine is on first to lead off the bottom of the seventh. And that'll bring up Damon Sublette, the left fielder, who, as I mistakenly credited Romine a couple of minutes ago, Sublette has walked 3 times. Zealous Wheeler, the third baseman, is in a step or 2 on the grass in case Sublette would bunt, but he is the cleanup hitter. He bats left-handed. First pitch hits the inside corner with a strike, 0-1. Romine has speed for a catcher. He's 11 for 16 in stolen bases. He has a 2 or 3 step lead. Walensky with the long set. Pitch is a changeup swung on, and it's rolled foul towards the Yankee dugout on the first base side. The Manatees are in the third base dugout here, and the Yankees, the home team, are in the first base dugout. That's similar to how it works at Space Coast Stadium in Vieira. 0-2 pitch by Walensky is swung on, and it's sliced foul down the left field line up into the upper level, and the count's 0-2. Again, playoff baseball comes to Vieira tomorrow at Space Coast Stadium, Game 2 of this best of 3 between the Yankees and the Manatees. 0-2 pitch by Walensky is down low. Maldonado hops up as if he's going to throw to first, but he doesn't, and the count's 1-2. I think from anywhere in Brevard County, you can get to Space Coast Stadium within a half hour. If you're in North Brevard County, really you just have to come down the I-95 to exit 195. 1-2 pitch swung on, line drive foul into the seats behind the Yankee dugout. And the count remains 1-2. So if you're in North Brevard, come down the I-95 to exit 195. Easy to remember. That's also Fisk Boulevard, although when you exit at Fisk and you head south, it becomes Stadium Parkway, and you just go straight to the ballpark. This is a grounder hit down the third baseline, past Wheeler into left field for a base hit. Lee Hadel quickly over there to field the ball. Gets the ball into the shortstop, Brewer, and it'll be a single for Sublette after 3 walks. Romine advances to second. So there's runners on first and second with nobody out, and the designated hitter, Brandon Laird, comes to bat. Laird had a sacrifice fly to center in the first, singled in the third, and doubled in the fifth. If you're in South Brevard County, it's also very easy to get to the stadium. Again, just use the I-95 and get off at Wickham, which is exit 191. First pitch by Walensky. Down in the dirt and blocked by Maldonado. Count 1-0. Exit at Wickham, turn left, go past the Avenues Shopping Center. Go through the traffic circle to Stadium Parkway, turn right, and go to the ballpark. If you're in Cocoa, Port St. John, or somewhere up in that area, you can just take Fisk Boulevard. Just get on Fisk and head south, and eventually it becomes Stadium Parkway. Pitch is swung on as a line drive up the alley in left center field. Racing over to get it is Hadel. Coming in to score is Romine, and advancing to third is Sublette on the single by Brandon Laird. And the Yankees now lead at 7-4. We can't see the bullpens here. I think the Manatee bullpen is down the third baseline. There's a niche there in the corner. If you go down into the left field corner before you get to the foul pole, you can see that somebody's throwing, but you really can't make them out. And that's going to be it for Walensky, and we're going to have another pitching change with the score Yankees 7, Manatees 4. So we were talking about how to get to Space Coast Stadium. If you're a Tampa fan and you're coming over from here on the Gulf side, just head up the I-4 until you get to the 528. Take the 528 eastbound through downtown Orlando. It becomes the B line. And then when it intersects with the I-95, just head south on the I-95 until you get to exit 195, as we talked about before. You get off at 195 and you'll see the signs that say Stadium, and follow those to Space Coast Stadium. We'll take your money even if you're a Yankees fan or just a baseball fan. New pitcher is left-hander Brandon Ritchie. Left-hander, 6'4", 230. He'll turn 23 in December from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Ritchie has no numbers on the statistics that I was handed. So let me check on the Magic Internet, and I'll tell you what his numbers are. The numbers we were handed before the game are only for those that were on the current roster as of, when they were printed out. And there's a different report that can be printed out through Minor League Baseball statistics site that lists everybody regardless of when they report it. Now, in Richie's case, he spent the entire year with Wisconsin. The Timber Rattlers are in the Midwest League, one level below Brevard. So he was called up for the playoffs. He had a 5-1 record with a 1.54 ERA, 4 saves in 48 games, 70 1/3 innings, 58 strikeouts, 28 walks. Well, playing for Wisconsin, which is in Appleton, Wisconsin, not far from Michigan, where he's from. I'm sure his family was over to see him quite often. Okay, left-hander Ritchie facing the left-hander Smith. The first pitch is a breaking ball and misses away, ball one. Austin Romine walked to lead off the bottom of the second, advanced to second on the single by Damon Sublette. Romine came in to score on the single by Laird, and Sublette advanced to third. This pitch is swung on, line drive past Ferris for a base hit. That'll score Sublette to make it 8-4. And Laird advances to second. Well, welcome to the Florida State League, Brandon Ritchie. So that'll bring up third baseman Luis Nunez, who's singled, popped out to left, and popped out to second. In the Midwest League, Ritchie against left-handers, he was pretty effective either way. First pitch to the right-hander, Nunez is hit to center field. Schaefer giving ground, has it for the out. Here comes the runner trying to advance to third. The throw is cut off, and Laird makes it to third on the throw. So Laird advances to third. Smith remains on first. That's the first out of the inning that the Manatees have managed to record, and that'll bring up the center fielder Jack Rye, who homered in the second, grounded out to second in the fourth, and popped out to center field in the sixth. Runners at the corners. Yankees have an 8-4 lead, looking to add some padding there. Curveball hits the inside corner, strike one. I was about to say that in the Midwest League, Ritchie's opposition batting average against left-handed hitters was 169, against right-handed hitters 198. Next pitch is taken, and it counts 1-1. Laird down the line from third. Next pitch hits the outside corner, and the count's 1-2. Laird on third, Smith on first, one out. 8-4 Tampa. Ritchie comes set, and the 1-2 pitch is a big curveball, and it's whacked up the alley in right center field for a base hit. That's going to make it 9-4. Smith is on his horse over to third as center fielder Schaefer gets the ball back in on the single by Jack Rye. So Rye, who homered in the second, gets an RBI single here in the seventh. And now the Yankees, who have 11 hits on the board, are starting to run away with it. Martin Maldonado, the Manatees catcher, goes out to talk to Ritchie. And the shortstop for the Tampa Yankees, Walter Ibarra, comes to the plate. Grounded to short in the second, grounded to short in the fourth, hit by a pitch in the sixth. Ritchie, when he comes set, leans forward on his left knee, his right knee, which is his front knee. First pitch is swung on, line drive foul down the right field line, rattles into the stands in the lower level. Count 0-1. Well, with one out and runners at the corners, the infield playing about halfway. 0-1 pitch. He checks his swing, throw by Maldonado down to third, and back into third base is Smith. That was called a strike. Apparently he did go around, and the count is 0-2. As we said earlier, Maldonado very aggressive in throwing to the bases. Rye off of first, Smith down the line from third. Pitch swung on as a line drive right off the railing in front of the Yankees dugout. Several of the Tampa players were up on the railing, and they come back to the railing, but now they're ducking down below. Thank goodness that they have some chain link there on the railing that keeps the ball from going through. 0-2 pitch. Leaves a breaking ball high, and the count is now 1-2. Whoever said baseball's not a contact sport never played baseball. Ritchie's 1-2 pitch. Swung on. It's a slow roller. Knocked down by the first baseman, Ericart. Not in time to flip it to Ritchie covering the bag at first. It'll be an infield single. Another run scores as Smith crosses the bag. Advancing to second is Jack Rye. It's an RBI single for Ibarra. And now the Yankees are in double digits. They lead it by a score of 10-4. So the Yankees bring to the plate their 8th batter of the inning. Top of the lineup, Daniel Brewer. Brewer 1 for 4. Grounded to short in the bottom of the first. Grounded to third in the second. Flied out to right field in the 5th. And doubled in the 6th. Martin Maldonado goes out to the mound to buy some time. And now here comes Manatees manager Mike Guerrero, taking all the time in the world, walking slowly to the mound, which usually means he's trying to buy some time for somebody up in the bullpen. So Brandon Ritchie's Florida State League postseason debut does not go well. He allowed 3 singles and got 1 fly out. So let's see who the next pitcher is to come in and try to cool off the Yankees. If the Manatees cannot come back from this 10-4 deficit, they will have to win tomorrow night at Space Coast Stadium in Vieira. So they will need you to show up and provide all the support you can to get them to Game 3 on Thursday, which will also be at Space Coast Stadium. And a reminder, all tickets are only $5 each. Let's see who the new pitcher is. It says number 30, which would be Jeremy Jeffress. Now, Jeffress was on the restricted list for most of the season, and I'm a little surprised to see that he's active for the postseason. Jeffress was suspended under Major League Baseball's substance abuse rules. He was a repeat offender. He was suspended on June 29th, given a 100-game suspension for testing positive. And it was believed that his problem was with marijuana, although, of course, they don't release what it really was. He's tested positive 3 times. As a repeat offender, that's why he was suspended 100 games. If he's suspended a 4th time, if he tests positive for a 4th time, it will result in a lifetime ban. So Jeffress is brought in to a critical, well, no longer critical situation, other than trying to keep it from being any worse. He was 2-1 with the Manatees and 2.18 ERA in 5 starts before he was suspended. Okay, top of the lineup, Daniel Brewer. Runners on first and second on the first pitch. This is inside, and did it hit Brewer? Yes, it did. Must have nicked him right around the knee. So Jeffress' first pitch after the 100-game suspension, and he hits Brewer on the knee. And that'll load the bases as Ibarra advances to second, and Rye advances to third. Bases are loaded with 1 out. And that'll bring up the second baseman, David Adams. Tampa fans have taken on the chants that they do in Yankee Stadium, where they chant a player's name asking for him to acknowledge them. They're chanting David Adams. First pitch is swung on. It's a double play ground ball. Brewer to Ferris at second, on to first for the 6-4-3 double play that brings the inning to a merciful end. So the Yankees put 4 more runs on the board on 5 hits, a walk, and a hit batter, and 3 runners left. After 7 here in Tampa, it's the Yankees 10 and the Manatees 4. Well, as we were saying, if the Manatees cannot come back and win this, it's a best of 3 series. So they must win tomorrow night in Vieira, which will force Game 3 on Thursday. Manager Mike Guerrero's rotation has Amori Rivas, who led the team in Games 1 with 13 to set a franchise record, going tomorrow night. And then if we get to Game 3, it'll be Evan Anenson. Rivas was among the league leaders in Games 1 at 13, and ERA at 2.98, and strikeouts at 123. Tampa has not yet announced who their starting pitcher will be for tomorrow night. Let's see what's going on in the South Division playoff game. Fort Myers had got out to a 6-2 lead, and then Charlotte made it 6-3. Fort Myers put 2 runs on the top of the 6th to make it 8-3, and now it's 8-7. As Charlotte tries to fight their way back into that game. In a best of 3 series, if Game 1 is at your home park, you better win that one, because if you don't, you have to go on the road and win Games 2 and 3. Top of the 8th, Vendit back on the mound. The ambidextrous pitcher will face Stephen Wilson, Chris Ericart, and Sergio Miranda. We were talking about Vendit's ability to pitch with either hand, that he has a custom glove that he switches back from one hand to the other. Wilson steps in, first pitch, breaking ball sweeps across the outside corner, strike 1. Wilson flied out to left, reached on a fielder's choice in the 4th, and singled in the 6th. Next pitch is a breaking ball hung up in his eyes, and Wilson hits it into left field for a base hit. We were telling you about a St. Petersburg Times article from August 28th in which they interviewed Vendit. It said that at age 3, growing up in Omaha, Nebraska, Vendit's father started teaching him to throw right and left-handed. Soon after, he could write and eat both ways. His father also taught him how to punt and kick a football both ways. All right, Chris Ericart at the plate, 0 for 3. First pitch swung on, and it's fly ball over the railing, or over the overhang, and out of the stadium on the first base side, 0-1. Ericart struck out, grounded out to short, and popped out to short. Manatees down by 6, and they have only 6 outs left to play with. The next pitch, fastball, misses away, and the count's 1-1. Vendit's father told the Times reporter that the main thing was repetition, and that Pat was homeschooled, and it just became a natural part of growing up. Next pitch is swung on. It's a base hit up the middle. Stopping at second is Wilson on the single by Ericart. So the Manatees are not rolling over, even though they're down by 6. Same thing happened down in Charlotte, as we said. Charlotte was down and came back, and the last we saw was 8-7. So that'll bring up the designated hitter, Sergio Miranda, who's grounded out the second, lined out the third, and singled. Vendit's first pitch hits the outside corner, strike one. It says that when Vendit was a junior at Creighton in 2007, he pitched 42 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings. There's a curve that hits the outside corner and the count's 0-2. The Yankees drafted him twice in the 45th round in 2007 and the 20th round in 2008. Next pitch, curveball, hits the outside corner, and nope, it didn't. 1-2. Now, here's something unusual. He's been pitching left-handed to left-handed batters, right-handed to right-handed batters, but he's pitching left-handed to the right-handed hitting Miranda. And this pitch is popped into shallow right center field. The right fielder, Brewer, takes it for the out, and there's one down. The article says that Vendit has to declare, according to a new rule that was passed in 2008, which way he's going to pitch before he takes the mound. Right-handed or left-handed. He's now pitching right-handed against Zealous Wheeler. First pitch, change-up, misses, or swung on and missed, strike one. Wheeler flied out to center, grounded out to second, and walked. The 0-1 pitch, swung on and missed, and the count's 0-2. Wilson on second, Ericard on first, one down. Manatees trying to climb back from a 10-4 deficit here in the top of the 8th. Meanwhile, down in Charlotte, the Miracle trying to hold on to an 8-7 lead over the Stone Crabs. Next pitch is blocked outside by Romine, and the count goes to 1-2. Stone Crabs were down 8-3 going into the bottom of the 6th, but they posted 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th. The 1-2 pitch, swung on, it's a grounder down to second. Adams flips to the shortstop, Ibarra on to first, double play, and the Manatees are done in the top of the 8th. So for Brevard, no runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 8th. The Tampa Yankees 10 and the Brevard County Manatees 4. While we're between innings, as I told you, if you go to MILB.com, you can see both the box scores and the play-by-play recaps for all minor league games as they occur. So let's see how it is that Charlotte managed to come back and score 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th. Matt Sweeney walked, and with 2 outs, Emil Salem singled, sending Sweeney to second. Neville Ashley walked to load the bases. Then Gregory Sexton singled on a ground ball to score 2 runs. Henry Wrigley singled to score Ashley, sending Sexton to third, and then another single by Sean Williams scored Sexton. So 4 runs, all on singles and walks. So they're now in the bottom of the 7th in Charlotte. Charlotte is at bat, and they trail 8-7. Jeremy Jeffress on the mound in the top of the 8th, or the bottom of the 8th. Sorry, I had to abandon you there for a second. Jeremy Jeffress came on to pitch in the 7th inning, and the first batter that he faced, Brewer, he hit with a pitch in the knee, and then he got Adams on a double play. So it's Andrew Romine to lead us off in the bottom of the 8th. Romine 0 for 2 with 2 walks. First pitch by Jeffress hits the outside corner, strike one. Romine walked in the first, struck out in the third, grounded to second in the fifth, and walked in the seventh. Next pitch by Jeffress is down and in, and the count's 1-1. A reminder once again to think about getting your playoff tickets for the Manatees. Jeffress working from the stretch, and the next pitch is down low, 2-1. You can call the ticket office at area code 321-633-9200. This pitch misses low, and the count is 3-1. You can also go to the Manatees website at www.manateesbaseball.com. Next pitch by Jeffress misses outside, ball 4. So Romine walks for the third time, and that'll bring up Damon Sublett. He himself has walked 3 times and also singled. Let's see how many walks that the Manatees have given up tonight. 1, 2, 3 in the first inning. 4, 5, 6. Strike 1 is called. 8 walks and 2 hit batters that I count. Strike 1 to Sublett. Romine off at first. Jeffress pitches a curveball that misses, and the count's 1-1. The next pitch is swung on. It's a line drive into right field for a base hit. It'll roll into the corner. Heading for third is Romine, and heading into second is Sublett. So that's going to be a double for Damon Sublett. Well, I'm looking at minorleaguebaseball.com, and the photo of Jeremy Jeffress, that is not Jeremy Jeffress on the mound. He's wearing the number that, according to the roster, was assigned to Jeffress, which is number 30. So let me check the box score online and see if it indicates who that is. First pitch is a strike to Brandon Laird. The next pitch is swung on, and it's a fly ball in the short left center field. It's going to fall in for a base hit. That'll score Romine. Coming around third is Sublett. The play at the plate. Maldonado blocks him off, and he's tagged out with Laird advancing to second. So that's the second time Maldonado has successfully blocked off a runner trying to score. Sublett is out 8-2. Credit a single to Laird, who advances to second on the throw. Romine scores, and it's now 11-4. The online play-by-play is behind, so it doesn't show the pitching change yet. First pitch is swung on and missed by first baseman Kevin Smith. The online box score shows Richie still in the game, but he left the game. The next pitch is swung on, and it's a bouncer to first, which Ericart takes. Nope, he tosses it over to the pitcher for the out, and advancing to third is Laird. So Smith is retired 3-1, and that'll bring up the third baseman, Luis Nunez. Well, I'm sorry about the confusion about the pitcher. And, now I'm looking at the box score, and it does, in fact, indicate Jeremy Jeffress replaces Brandon Ritchie. But the picture online does not match who's out on the mound. First pitch is swung on, and Nunez just gets a piece of it and lines it to the backstop, 0-1. Well, it's not Jeremy Jeffress, but until we know who it really is, we're going to call him Jeffress, and he's just a Jeffress impersonator. The 0-1 pitch hits the inside corner, strike 2. We had talked about how Jeffress was suspended back in June, given a 100-game suspension because of a positive drug test, the third time he's been caught. Next pitch is down and in, and Maldonado blocks it. And the count's 1-2. And in fact, he's listed on the Manatees roster as still being suspended, which is why I was surprised that it would be Jeffress on the mound, other than the suspension perhaps did not apply to the postseason. 1-2 pitch. Rolled foul, and it goes off of the grill in front of the Manatees dugout. Count still 1-2. So the other possibility may be that it is Jeffress and the picture on MILB.com is wrong. So I'm going with what the only name we have. 1-2 pitch is down low, rolls away from Maldonado. The count's 2-2. Some teams in the minors put their players' names on the back of the jerseys, which help. But the Manatees don't do that, and certainly the Yankees would never, ever put the names on the back of their jersey. This pitch is swung on, and it's fouled off his foot, rolls up the third baseline where the bat boy will field it and take it back to the Manatees dugout. Count remains 2-2. Brandon Laird on third with 2 outs. Yankees lead 11-4, 2 outs, bottom of the 8th. The 2-2 pitch. This one swung on just over the glove of Jeffress, down to Ferris at second, on to Ericart at first for the out. I don't think that actually touched the pitcher's glove, so I'm going to rule that for 3 to end the inning. But the Yankees add another run on 2 hits, a walk, and 1 left. We go to the top of the 9th here in Tampa. It's the Yankees 11, the Manatees 4. Well, unless the Manatees can score 7 runs here, the Yankees are going to take Game 1, which means the Manatees have to win the next 2 games in Space Coast Stadium in Vieira if they're going to advance into the championship round. So we need you to turn out and support your team the next 2 nights. Games 2 and 3 are at 7:05. Game 2 tomorrow night, 7:05 at Space Coast Stadium. It'll be Amaury Rivas on the mound, the team's top pitcher by wins. The Yankees have not announced who their starting pitcher will be. It's a must-win game for the Manatees, but at least they have the home field advantage for the next 2 days. If the Manatees lose tomorrow night, they're eliminated. If the Manatees win, it forces a Game 3 on Thursday night at 7:05 at Space Coast Stadium. A reminder that all postseason tickets at Space Coast Stadium for the Manatees are only $5 a piece. That's right, just $5 per ticket. Our capacity is about 8,000. We have some seats that are reserved for season ticket holders, and you'll see placards on their seats. But most seats in the house are general admission, so you just walk up, put down $5 a pop, and you're in the ballpark. And if you look at the price for concessions for hot dogs, popcorn, pizza, all that health food, beer, the food is cheaper than what you'd find if you went to a movie theater. And you certainly can't get into the movie theater for $5 a person. All right, top of the 9th, Brent Brewer leads it off, followed by Martin Maldonado and Lee Hadel. The first pitch by the new pitcher, Trenton Lair, misses ball 1. Lair's a lefty, 6'4", 195. Just turned 25 on August 24th. Next pitch is inside. Brewer has to dance out of the way, and the count's 2-0. Lair was just called up on Sunday from Charleston. Next pitch, swung on, and it's a line drive into center field, and it's going to be caught by the second baseman, Adams, going out. I thought that had more carry on it, but it just kind of died in short right center field, and Adams was there for the out, so 1 down. So that'll bring up the catcher, Martin Maldonado. Laird had 6 games at Staten Island in the New York Penn League. All of them were games he started, 3-2 with a 1.07 ERA. Fastball misses in, ball 1. He got called up to Charleston for 7 games where he also started all 7, 2-3 with a 2.76 ERA. The 1-0 pitch, fastball hits the outside corner, 1-1. And then he got into the doubleheader on Sunday, worked 2 innings in relief, gave up 2 runs, 2 hits, including a home run. Next pitch misses, and it's 2-1. Struck out 2, walked none on Sunday. Next pitch is a line drive right past Lair into center field for a base hit, so Martin Maldonado has a single to keep things alive. We'll go to the top of the lineup with left fielder Lee Hadel. Well, no more fun watching the ambidextrous Vented on the mound. Lair's going to be left-handed all the way. Hadel lined out to short in the first, walked in the fourth, reached on a fielder's choice in the sixth, and popped out to right in the seventh. First pitch is taken 0-1. Next pitch hits the outside corner, strike 2. Again, it's so easy to get to Space Coast Stadium, basically off the I-95. This pitch is swung on. It's one hopper down to first. The first baseman, Smith, bobbled it, and he had no play. Let's see if they rule that an error or a base hit. The runner advancing to second. It's going to be a base hit for Lee Hadel. Hadel hit the ball on one hop to Smith. He had to turn to his left to field it, and then it looked as if he was trying to get ready to shovel the ball to the pitcher Lair, lost control of it. And the scorer will call it a base hit for Hadel, with Maldonado advancing to second, and that'll bring up second baseman Eric Ferris. Again, from North Brevard, just head south on the I-95 exit at exit 195. Fastball misses in, ball 1. From South Brevard, head north on the I-95, exit at 191, which is Wickham Road. Turn left, go through the traffic circle to Stadium Parkway. 2-0 pitch hits the inside corner, and it's 2-1. It's not often you get a chance to see a pennant contender, and for $5 a person, it's a great deal. Here's a line drive into right center field for a base hit. Coming around third is Maldonado. The center fielder will throw the ball into second. As Hadel advances to third, it's an RBI single for Eric Ferris to score Maldonado, and the deficit's cut to 11-5. So the Manatees are not giving up. They're still chipping away. Again, if you missed at the beginning of the broadcast the news that the Manatees' leading home run hitter, Caleb Gindel, is out for the duration. Gindel had 17 home runs this year, but he apparently broke his hand sometime during Game 2 of Sunday's doubleheader. We know they pinch hit for him in the second game, so we don't know what happened, but he's done for. Logan Schaefer at the plate, swings and misses, strike 1. It's forced manager Mike Guerrero to shuffle his lineup. Normally Schaefer bats first, Ferris bats second, and Gindel third, but Schaefer got dropped down the number 3 hole with Lee Hadel moving to leadoff spot. Big curve swung on, and it's looped back into the stands on the third base side behind the Manatees dugout. Bounces over the dugout and back into the dugout. So the count 0-2 to Schaefer. Logan named to the Florida State League's postseason All-Star team, along with Eric Ferris. The next pitch swung on and missed in the dirt. It's dropped with a runner on first. Schaefer doesn't advance. You're probably aware of the fact that with nobody on and 2 strikes, that if the catcher doesn't hold on to strike 3, the runner can advance and they have to throw him out at first. That's not true if there's a runner on first. The only exception is if there's 2 outs. Clear as mud? I thought so. So here's Stephen Wilson at the plate. First pitch swung on, line drive foul to the right field side underneath the overhang, and it's 0-1. Manatees are down to their final out. Wilson 2 for 4, cut pair singles. Runners at the corners. Next pitch is swung on. It's a little bouncer in front of the plate called foul, and the count's 0-2. So the Manatees are down to their last strike. Hadel on third, Ferris on first. Ferris finished the season with 70 stolen bases. That tied for the Manatees' franchise single-season record. He didn't play in Game 2, which would have given him an opportunity to break the record. Lair looks in at Romine for a sign, comes set. And the 0-2 pitch to Wilson is taken low, 1-2. Wilson hit 3 home runs in Sunday's doubleheader. We'll take another one now. That would have put him back in the game. 1-2 pitch swung on. It's a bouncer, slow roller on the infield. The shortstop Ibarra over to first, and that's the ball game. The Tampa Yankees take the first game of this 3-game series by a score of 11-5. The line score for the Manatees, 5 runs, 11 hits, no errors. For the Yankees, 11 runs, 14 hits, 1 error. The win will go to the Yankees starting pitcher, David Phelps. The loss will go to the Manatees starting pitcher, Mark Rogers. Again, Game 2 will be tomorrow at 7:05 in Vieira at Space Coast Stadium. The Manatees have announced that their ace, Amori Rivas, will be starting for them. Tampa has yet to announce a starting pitcher. And one last time, I'll give you the information for getting tickets, which are only $5 each. You can call the box office at area code 321-633-9200. You can go to the team's website at manateesbaseball.com, or just walk up, because again, it's an 8,000-seat ballpark. It's the spring training home of the Washington Nationals, so you get to see minor league playoff baseball in a major league spring training stadium. And if you want to see a pennant come to Brevard County, you're going to have to turn out and support the Manatees for the next 2 nights, because it's a best-of-3 series. They have to win tomorrow night and Thursday against these Yankees, or it's all over. So this is do or die, and you need to come out and support your team if you want to see them play for the next week in the championship series. Well, thank you very much for listening in. I'm Stephen Smith of SpaceCoastBaseball.com, and we'll be back tomorrow night, 15 minutes before game time at 6:50 with the pregame show. Hopefully things go better for the Manatees. If not, well, we'll give congratulations to the Tampa Yankees, but to quote a famous Yankee, Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. Thank you for listening, and good night.